We are joined by our regular cast of characters. Everybody want to jump in and say hi?
Hello.
Rob says
Hello,
hi.
you all. Hi there from down here in Louisiana.
And from literally down here in Australia. That's literally.
Old Rob's hanging on to the bottom of the ball. Don't fall, Rob. You're going to fall down.
Try not. Try not.
Evening all. Sorry, I was muted. No. Good start. How we all been? Oh, there goes James.
There goes James.
Excellent. Excellent. Been getting cool here. Down to about 17 and 18 at night now. Degrees Celsius, that is. Not Fahrenheit.
Blimey. Yeah.
What's I've got me little. Hey, I've got me little flannel jumper on. I'm looking like the typical bogan this morning, I can tell you.
I had 32 degrees in my shed yesterday. Bloody boiling.
Yeah, I had so that'd be a heat wave for you guys, wouldn't it?
Oh, it was in my shed. It was probably about 22 outside.
Yeah, it's perfect weather.
Not in my shed, it ain't. 22 outside is, yeah.
32 is normal. We're still getting 30 degrees here during the day. It's June next week, yeah. So still getting 30 during the day here.
All right, what staggers me is that you, throughout the year, you never see sunlight at 8 o'clock at night, do you? Or bright sky or daylight?
Middle of summer, it would be. You might not be able to read a book outside at 8 o'clock. You'd still see the remnants of the sun, just drifting away still at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
But you'd see it, but you wouldn't. It'd be pretty dark. Yeah.
And by 9 o'clock, forget it.
Forget by 9 o'clock. Yeah, it's gone.
And yet we can read a book here up until 10 o'clock on a high summer night. I mean, that alone is an undeniable proof that we're not living on a ball.
I would think. But I did talk to my office troll I had the biggest debate on Thursday. And because he's from your area, well, actually from Adam's area, he's from Nottingham, I asked him about the suns, and well, he started the conversation with the suns, what you can see, and why it doesn't get smaller. So I went and showed him a video, and I didn't go for a flat Earth video. I just Googled, I YouTubed sunsets, and a compilation video came up, and was showing all different sorts of sunsets. Now, a lot of the sunsets, the suns weren't getting smaller, but there were a number of them that were getting smaller. And I showed him one in particular. It went to a dot on the screen, and he just dismissed that completely. And I asked him about you seeing the sun sort of middle of summer revolving all the way around you, and he denied that. He said, "No, that doesn't happen." Nah.
He's never looked.
Nah. Yeah, well, he wouldn't have. Well, why would you have? Unless you're living there now, why would you have?
Yeah, exactly. I never looked. I always assumed it was the lights of the city, the town. Well, it's a small town that's north of me. I always thought, but then when I looked at it and started, keeping an eye on it, I noticed it was moving. It was like, huh? Okay, so either the town's moving or that ain't the town. So yeah, it's and Adam confirmed it live on air, didn't
he? Yeah. So now it's a massive debate on gyros, on the sunsets, on anything you can think of. The bubble in the phone is because the phone knows where it is.
It's an ego thing now, though, Rob, don't you? It doesn't matter. Even if you took them into a balloon and took them up to 1,000,000 miles and showed them that it was actually a big plane, they'd still say, "No, you're not up high enough. You're not up high." It's an ego thing. They're never ever going to back down.
He sent me a photo.
You're going to lose your job over it.
He sent me a photo last night of just a photo from the ISS with a clear curve, and I said to him, just on messages, how come the curve changes all the time? How it differs from, you can see that the ISS is a different height sometimes. And example, when we had Cyclone Debbie recently, they had a shot of from the ISS going over our cyclone, and the cyclone was side to side. The whole cloud was taken up side to side, and you could just see it was a lot lower than normal. It wasn't from the great heights that you usually see the ISS. It was at a different height, and he said, "Oh yeah, that's because it zoomed in."
That's because Mr. Simmons made it,
yeah,
and had to.
Yeah, that's because it's zoomed in. That particular one was zoomed in, so the curve changed because he was zoomed in.
I don't know how you put up with it, mate.
Shit. Oh, mate! You should have seen me on Thursday. I was sick in the guts. I had 4 of them in the office.
It's gonna make you ill, man. I'd start looking. I'd look for another job, man, and maybe another state. And don't tell anyone ever you ever meet any of this shit, and then you might sleep well at night. Does it wake you up in the morning? I mean, you were up at 4:30 this morning.
Yeah, I was. I'm hoping for the day that I wake up, and on the way to work, the Earth is flat is going to be the first news story on the.
Well, did you see IPS?
I'll go, yeah, baby.
Did you see IPS raised $900 for a billboard, an electronic billboard at Philadelphia Airport, and he got the GoFundMe money for it in 2 hours. So now they're going to have a billboard for a month, I think it is, at Philly Airport that shows something like 10,000 times a day.
That's interesting.
That's
we should
initiative.
Send Kaz out there. That's where the survey and the little questionnaire would come in handy when that ad's playing. Someone was smart.
Get our own billboard at Bristol Airport.
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
somebody has an echo.
Yeah, there is a bad echo in the background. Bad one. Has someone got YouTube playing in the background or anything?
No, I'm convinced it's John.
Well, tell me if it's gone then.
All right, I'll let you know because I don't hear it now.
I was thinking
hello. Yep.
Hello.
Can't hear it now. Can't hear it now.
Hello.
Yeah, it was
Hello?
John.
Yep, that's good stuff.
Right.
Guess I'll shut up then.
Welcome to my.
Guys? Ooh, go ahead, Josh.
I was gonna say, welcome to my world. Always got audio problems. Better off just being quiet. Although it seems to be working well today. I'm looking at lots of green on my screens. That's good. I usually see red.
Well, what I was going to do, guys, was go through my video, which I haven't posted to YouTube yet, because I've got to go shortly. I've got to go to my daughter's sport, as I do every Saturday morning. Didn't last Saturday morning because it was been raining for a couple of days and it was all the mud would have been all mud there, so it's all good today. So I've got to go. I just want to quickly go through my video because I posted a couple of videos in the last couple of months about a beach that I thought I was seeing. Now I'm going to retract that, and on the new video I say that I say sorry. So sorry everyone. But this new footage taken kilometres away. This one back here is 55 kilometres away. Now, if I go onto Google Earth and I zoom into where I am...
Did you say 53 kilometres away?
55 for that one.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're not big islands. They're not big islands by any means. So I just click in where I stand. Now what I'll do here, I'll just zoom in a bit so I'll show you. All right, that was Bay Rock. So when I pan to the right, that's Bay Rock, which is 18 kilometres away. And this is Akron, the one it looks like two islands, but it's only one. So, and then directly behind Akron Island, so this is 38.65 it says. And directly behind that is the next one, 55 kilometres away. So I'm a lot more sure about where I'm standing and what's happening now than what I was last time, because I've never, ever seen these islands here from that vantage point. I've always gone down there, and it must be the mirror band is covering me up. I can't see it.
And is that just you that's changed your mind, or
what we got here is Hinchinbrook Island. So this is the really, really big island in the background. It's that close to the mainland.
Did you hear that, Rob? Adam just had a point there. Adam, say it again. I don't think Rob heard you.
Is it just you that's changed your mind, Rob, or have you had any input?
How are you hearing it? That's my question.
That?
When did you hear Adam say anything?
I'm not hearing Adam at all.
Nor I.
Adam, just do you want me to say the question, Adam? Tell me the question.
I can hear you, Adam.
We need to figure out.
I'll drop out in a second and come back in. But if you're asking the question, did he just change his mind, or has he received any advice?
The question, yes.
Yeah, somebody should have.
Else.
Did you, Rob? Did you just change your mind, or did somebody else tell you about this? Is this just you changing your mind about the distances?
Well, all right.
That's what Adam asked.
I can hear you, Adam.
So, yeah, okay. So, well, on my last video that I posted, a guy from Metabunk actually got onto my comments, and you can, if you go to my channel, you can see the comments. And I'm even arguing with him, saying, "No, mate, I know where I live. I know where I live. I know what I'm looking at. I've lived here all my life." And he said I was looking at Hinchinbrook Island, and I said and I said in the comments, I said that's 115 kilometres away, but it's 110 to the peak of what I'm looking at. It's 110 kilometres away. I can't be seeing that. You're seeing that? That's 3,000 feet of curvature. But the highest point on Hinchinbrook Island is 3,600. That's one point. You can actually see. You can see the whole island, and that's from my vantage point. There, you can see the whole thing. So you're supposed to be only seeing the top 600 foot of one of the highest peaks. The other peaks aren't that high. So I just didn't believe him. I couldn't believe that. And then we, because where I work, I deal with a lot of the Port Authority. And the Port Authority, I overheard a Port Authority guy telling someone that was Hinchinbrook Island. And I actually butted in. I said, "That's not Hinchinbrook Island. It's bloody Akron." He's going, No, that's Hinchinbrook. And I went, so I was in disbelief that I was seeing an island from that island from 115. I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. So that's when I went down. I went down that afternoon, coincidentally, and took this video and saw those islands for the first time ever.
Can I just ask, Rob?
From that vantage point?
Can you hear me now?
I can, Adam.
Much better.
Oh, okay, there we go. That's cool. Right,
Well,
so
Rob, can I just ask?
Yep.
When you're seeing Hinchinbrook Island, you've got another island in front of you, haven't you? You've got another island between you and that. So if you knew the height of the nearer island, then you could at least subtract that from the height of Hinchinbrook and be able to say, well, the height of this island's only 500 meters, so that's all that's obscuring Hinchinbrook, so therefore you can see.
John, check your mic.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Check your mic. It's drifted.
Very muffled.
I'm muffled.
Yeah, drifted, and we have the echo back.
Right.
Is this the one you're talking about, John? This island here. So this is Hinchinbrook in the background, and this is the one another one that I've never seen before, right in front of it.
I think, to be honest, Rob, trying to explain what we did or didn't see before is kind of irrelevant now. I think what you've got is a series of islands that does give you a good scale, and as John alludes to, there's probably a bit of maths to be done there, and I think the gentleman we were in brief contact with in New Zealand that talked about some of the island heights might be very useful here in terms of what you're saying in terms of peak heights, and then they're in quite a straight line, aren't they? I think there's something that
what you caught, the simplicity of what you caught though improved. Like, I mean, you've been out there a lot with the camera. To get this is insane. It's like double what we were thinking before. It's really hard to get my head around how far that is.
Yeah, so no, I'm glad I finally caught these islands, because it's been baffling me for a long time that, you know, it was just hard to work out what island was what, because I'd go down to here and they'd be all gone because of the mirror band would cover them up, and I just didn't know what I was looking at a lot of the time. It was
based on that. I have a question, Rob. How much would you say that really affects what we can see in terms of like weather and mirror bands and stuff like that? Now, based on how
I find the mirror band now, I've worked out the mirror band is really, really bad in cold weather, because when I get to work, because it's getting onto the colder months now for me, I'm not seeing any of this early in the morning. Early in the morning, it's all gone. I don't see one thing. But by about 10 o'clock in the morning, I start to see these small little islands. By 12, I'm seeing them all. From my office. My office is 40 feet off the water, I reckon.
Jeez.
But this, where I'm taking this video from, is 12 to 14 feet. And usually I don't see this. Usually I don't see these.
You said they're not gigantic, so they wouldn't be higher than what? How high do you think they would be?
Well, 30, 40 meters high, maybe 50 meters at the most. This boat here, look at this boat. Look at this boat. This boat would be at least 20 kilometers away. This boat here, he's as far away as Bay Rock is. Bay Rock, I just panned past it. He'd be 20 kilometers away. That's a boat. That's a little boat. This is the same spot I saw the jet ski. Remember the jet ski when I first bought my camera?
Yep.
The jet ski would have been in this little area as well. He was, catch a jet ski from 12 or 13 kilometers away. No worries.
Is this where it gets to the one where the marker is, and you got the two boats, Rob?
Yeah, that was just. So that's it. Look at that. So that marker would be probably, I'd say 12, 13. And I know everyone's going to say, "Oh, how do you know that?" Because I've stood out there a lot, and I'm just getting a gauge on where. But look at this. Look at this boat out here. This will be a fairly big boat. This one, just a long way away.
And there's another one.
Yeah. So no. That's so really I do apologize. I do apologize to everybody for and I'm actually pissed off with myself for going off onto a beach thing, but that's what it looked like. That's what it looked like to me, and no one believed me, and I'm glad, and they didn't believe me for good reason too.
Yeah, but you shouldn't apologise for honest investigation, mate. You did what you saw, and more importantly, you reviewed what you declared. And when you saw evidence, you weren't embarrassed to change your mind and stand up like a man and say, "Actually, that's wrong. This is what I've actually been showing you." And luckily for you, it's a shitload more significant than what you were showing us. So that's a right bonus.
And can I add to that, Adam? I think that maybe, I mean, for myself, Rob, I was kind of maybe getting a little frustrated with the beach thing, but the passion that you had for it, man, you followed it through. You did it. Because I couldn't see the beach. I couldn't see it, but that's the thing, right? Everybody has their beach. Everybody has their thing.
Yeah. So no, I'm glad I finally caught them. I'm sure there's going to be other opportunities that I'll see these islands, but it's just that's the first time I'd ever seen them before. Yes. So, any more questions?
Can you hear me at all? Am I still?
Yep.
Echoing?
Yep. I can hear you, John.
Is it
I can hear you.
echoing?
Not yet.
No. Okay.
Excellent. Okay, carry on.
Yeah.
I've got a question, Rob.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've done that, and if we were being scientific, there are questions to be answered. That why should I believe you this time? You said it was there. What's your next step to kind of validate what you're seeing and to kind of really prove it? Have you got any other plans to?
Yeah. Well, me mate Ross, who I work with, he's a contractor at my work. He is going to try and get us a boat for late June. And what I want to do is, because the boat ramp's not far from here, so get in the boat ramp, drive over to this sort of point here, and then just drive towards these islands.
You're going to Rob Skipper it?
Yeah, we're going to do that. But the difference is, I think we've got to go a long way, because Hinchinbrook Island, that's 110. We won't have to go that far, but we're going to have to go a fair way closer to it just to work out. Because if I go towards Hinchinbrook Island and it doesn't change shape, then it's all over for the bull. It needs to change shape. It needs to rise up off the other side of the bull, doesn't it? If it stays the same shape, it doesn't matter if it'll obviously get bigger because I'm getting closer to it. But if it stays the same shape, then that's proof enough. That's proof enough for me. Even these little islands, here, if they don't change shape, these are attached. These islands are attached, but it's just because that mirror band, as we keep on talking, the mirror band blocks your view. The mirror band it mirrors and it mirrors the ships that I take photos of. They turns them upside down.
I think, Rob, this is a great project for us to organize, and I'd be more than willing to chip in for you and Ross to do an experiment out there like this. It sounds amazing.
Yeah. So no, hopefully it will come to fruition. Yeah.
The mirror band you just allude to, Rob, I think, as you're doing it, I think there's a point where maybe you should be stopping at periodic intervals and taking good quality photos. And I think that mirror band, if we can get graduated images of the mirror band and what happens, there might be a bit of data in there that would be very useful, especially if we're focusing on one island. Do you know what I mean? And use the way the mirror band changes from different distances from the island. That could be quite useful to get that sort of data, mate. That would be. Yeah, I'll throw a couple of quid in now, James. You're right. I'll buy the sandwiches, Rob.
Yeah, no, we're thinking it's going to cost us a couple of $100 Aussie, I'd say, to get this bloke to take us out there. Maybe $200 or $300, because fuel in Australia is, I don't know what fuel in America is at the moment, but we pay $1.30 a litre for unleaded. And a boat like the one that we're going to use might use, it'd use maybe 100 litres for the day. So there's just $150. No, it could even use more than that. But, say $150 for fuel straight up before you, And this bloke's time, he's not going to do it. He doesn't want to listen to a couple of dickhead flat earthers talking, does he?
I'll pay for the sandwiches, Rob.
No, it'll be right, mate. We'll sort it out.
Yeah.
So no. So I hope that comes to fruition, and we do that, because that's what I need to do. I know I need to do it. I need to drive towards these places and work out what's there.
I will be doing my own experiment. I've mentioned it a couple times, but I've had a spot of good news this week, and it looks like I will be getting a camera sooner than later. I might need some lessons, Rob, because it looks like I'll have a B700 pretty soon here. So it will be exciting. And I am doing, I call it, I don't know, the Bedford. We're going to do the Bedford here because we just happen to have a 6 mile long by 4 mile wide lake. And that's what I'm going to do. You've inspired me.
Cool. Excellent.
Oh, sounds good.
No, that has inspired me, James.
That's nice. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to need a lot of your help, Adam, because I know you've got some insane ideas. You should tell Rob and Ross as well about some of the tests that people might have overlooked that can be done over maybe longer or shorter distances with very effective results as well. I'm so excited to hear it.
Is there a guy in chat offering me $5,000 to give me any evidence of a flat Earth?
Right.
$5,000.
Not really.
Dude, it's his whole shtick. He does his whole channel is probably called $5,000 or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he comes in, runs his mouth every week, never offers up anything.
All the proof we get.
I'll have $5,000. I'll have $5,000, mate.
Right.
If he was smart, if he was smart though, like any baller, but we haven't yet seen it, they would buy a gyroscope and try and disprove John Savage's tests, among others. I mean, that's all they have to do is buy a gyro. Don't offer $5,000. Just get up and do something. You can be famous. You can be the guy that proves the ball. Just imagine.
I had a guy offering me 200 quid if I would do a video for him, do an experiment for him with my gyro. This is how insane they are. The gyro's only 130 quid. So he'd rather pay me 200 quid and then just sit back and go, yeah, it's fake. Or, you know, what a bloody joke.
I'd have taken that money and left. But as
nah, not a performing
that's
suit.
a good segue. Are we going to discuss this, guys, or not?
And I'll have to go, guys. So
absolutely, Rob, it was amazing.
Fun.
Thank you, Rob.
Fun.
Rob,
Mate.
God bless, mate. Good luck in the game.
Catch you soon.
All right, mate.
Thanks for spending some time with us, Rob.
All right, see you, boys.
See ya. Be good.
Oh, Adam, what have you got in store for us in the weekly mailbag here? I'm excited.
Well, it's only my mailbag, so it's only what I've been kind of geeking about. And I'll probably do the small piffle stuff first, because there was one good thing that I spent a fair bit of time reading and discussing with John and a few others as well. So I suppose the best bit of top news this week was from David Weiss, which was how to cut a watermelon, which I found was as a great link. And to be honest, I really did enjoy it. And I mentioned it, Rob mentioned it in pre-chat and took the mic, but great tip there, guys. Really was very useful. At the bottom of this,
what it was?
I'm still searching.
What was the tip?
No, look at it. Well, it's just the way of cutting a watermelon, mate. It's just, I'd never seen it before. And if I'm being sarcastic, it's an analogy, isn't it? Because sometimes the most bloody obvious thing you've missed all your life.
So can't you talk us through
somebody well, cut the watermelon. Yeah, I can. Cut the water, but not very well.
Well, I'm just thinking about the people who are listening that don't know what the hell you're on about.
Link, type in David Weiss watermelon, and you'll learn something.
Okay, I'll see you in 10 minutes then.
Awesome.
Right. Just watch that after we go off the air.
I was going to say you can watch that right after.
Too late. I'm gone.
I always have a pen for notes. That's the sort of thing I would say. Write it down.
Write that down. Check that out.
If you're in the UK right now, we're in the middle of a heat wave. Cut a watermelon. We don't get very often.
Melon head, I guess.
Somebody just put the bloody watermelon video on. Yeah.
You brought it up.
Whilst
can't
Josh
explain
finds
it. Won't talk about it. Tell me to go and look at it.
Unbelievable.
Sounds like the Echo guy.
Who's that? Am I echoing again now?
No, I was just being coy because
fuck with me, man. Don't. Not with the sound controls, the audio. Not after this week.
Don't pick on Adam. He was being good.
I just want him to tell me how to cut a watermelon.
All right. Okay. This is my BBC 4 description of how to cut a watermelon. Take your watermelon, cut it in half. Turn it flat side down onto your board. Cut angled arcs all the way around. Yeah, leaving just a small area of skin on the top. Cut the top off. All right. Then cut it in straight lines. All the sphere. Rotate through 90 degrees. Cut the same straight lines again, creating cubes. Take a bowl.
Welcome to Flat Earth
put
United.
It on top of the watermelon that you've just cut the half. Invert. Take it out. Take a nice skewer. Stick it in. People enjoy the watermelon.
Oh my god!
Bank holiday fun. That's all I was giving you.
I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to watch it.
Lovely.
I mean, the point I would make is I don't like watermelon, but I've cut watermelon for my kids. But there you go.
Dave won't mind us playing his video. Dave's a great guy.
It was brilliant, honestly. I allude with Chippy and stuff to. It's sometimes nice to turn over and just you think you're going to get something completely flat earthy, and actually you learn something eminently useful.
And you know what?
It was bloody obvious.
I actually have to big up John here too. He put out something totally incredible, expecting flat Earth again, and he put out a video on how he makes colloidal silver. That was one of my week bag highlights.
Oh, thank you.
That's another thing unexpected.
I'll cross that one out then, James. Yeah, I'll put that one in later on.
yeah. I'll just explain it here. Something about batteries.
No, nothing about batteries. No, I use a
That's
mains
my
power
budging
pack.
method. Shall we discuss that now? Because that was something I was going to come on to later, guys, probably in the fringe that I was going to mention. But
it's a good point, Adam. It's a great point that it's nice to see things different than what you expect sometimes, It is. It's nice.
So John's video is great, and John inspired me in terms of colloidal silver. But there are a number of methods. I bought a big power unit and all sorts of stuff, and I still think the best way is strapping batteries together, James. That's what I was going to allude to. That's the best method.
The simplest is the best, hey?
Only if they're rechargeable.
For me, at the moment, yeah.
If you're buying 9 volt, if you're buying square 9-volt batteries every week, then it's going to cost you a shitload. It's about £5 to do one round.
I bought together all my old cranky batteries, put them together with my voltmeter, and kept strapping extra ones on until I got the voltage you suggested. So that was a bit of recycling, but there's not one 9-volt on there, John.
I've got a 12 volt, I think it is. 12. It's a 12 and a 5 volt. It's weird. I don't quite understand it, but I think there's a charge mode because it came off a laptop, so I think there's a charging mode and then a full power mode, and yeah, I don't know how it works, but the silver works, that's for sure.
Well, that's the point I was going to make, John. You told me with that, and I tried to replicate it, and then ended up buying a big power pack, and then this, that, and the other, and a few other methods. And I've had electric motor running through something, pulling power to try and pull all sorts of little daft things I've tried. But the reality is, the quality of the silver solution is negligible, really. The difference, and the point I would say is, don't worry too much. If you can generate a current that you can see the change, and the best, I don't know if you mentioned it in the video because I've not had a chance to check, but the best way to see if you are creating silver within your solution is to take one of the kids' laser pens, shine it through at the beginning, and you will see the laser definition get more and more through the solution as you create the process. And that to me is the best way of seeing. And when I got a really defined laser line, that's when I would stop and use that as a marker point, because I found that was quite consistent as well.
Did you take a TDS reading at that point or not? What sort of figures are you coming up with?
I'm just going over to the geek shelf right there, because I've got this stuff here, because I've got loads of sample bottles that I took.
There he is.
So mate, and I'll get them out, John.
We want to get Adam a ceremonial blue jacket and a bow tie, but way better.
I'm not having that. I'm not having that. He's not science. So yeah. I've got some here. Like I've got. Shall I wait there? Let me line a few up, and I'll show you, because it lends to at least a bit of credibility with some of these things. These are at least 2 months old, but what I found is if you keep them in the dark, then
awesome
what happens is it keeps it a lot fresher, doesn't it, John? So if you keep it in the fridge as well,
no, don't keep it in the fridge.
Even better. No,
apparently not, because of the magnetic energy in the fridge. It sucks it to the side of the container and not oxidizes it, but plates it back.
Is 2 amp.
Really? I didn't know that.
Okay. No, that's news for me. Right. Okay. So let me.
Well, it's the same as having it. Don't have it in a plastic container, because the plastic, what are they? Carbon chains or whatever within the plastic come with an inherent charge, so the silver is drawn to the side of the plastic container and drawn out of solution, rendering it useless. And the same thing happens if you put it in the fridge, even in glass, as far as I know.
Well, so this is stuff that's been 2 or 3 months, and you can see these are little sample stuff have been taken, and you can see the numbers on there. So we've got. What have I got here? I've just pulled a load out of the bag and made a right mess. 2 4 hours, 6 hours, 14 hours, 14 hours, 22 hours. So they're the little solutions. And I was talking to John about deposition. No, the deposition actually, John, occurs to have occurred these. Actually, the 22 hours is still clearer. The 4 hours is the most yellow. If you look at it, can you see that?
Not
the
brilliantly
scale.
I can sort of make it out.
I would say this end's slightly more yellow. This end's towards still much clearer, and that's the 4 hours, 6 hours, 14 hours, 22 hours.
So it would suggest to me that the ones on the left-hand side, the silver is still in solution. It would suggest also that the ones on the longer right-hand side may have fallen out of solution.
I don't know, because what I always find is they start out that color. There's still a yellow opacity to it. It's probably harder to. Can you see it's a lot more yellow as I bring it up?
Yep.
So there's still a yellowness to it, but it's not as strong and urine-y as the early one.
Nice.
Which is what I was saying, whether this yellowness is coming from the ionization of stuff as opposed to the colloidal creation.
What's the one in the middle there, Adam?
These two here are 14 hours, and these two are 4.
That's better.
That's 6. That's 4. 40, and that's 22, so they're like that. Look.
See, I never go over about 4 hours, but then I don't know what your setup is, or the voltage, or the amps, or the size, the amount you're making. All of that changes it.
Well, this is not something I've checked for a while, but let me pull out the parts per million meter, and should we do a little live test? See what this is.
Oh, I'd like to know. Yeah, I'd like to.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, you've got my curiosity up now. So give me a second.
Find out right now as you are watching live. We will find out.
What have you got there, Adam? An H2S monitor? Is that what you're? Some kind of
TDS?
Just my
total dissolved solids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
so that's what we've got there.
Yeah,
TDS3.
on the end of the video, I've got pictures, like 3 or 4 pictures of what it looks like after 1, 2, 3, and 4 days or whatever. I sent them to you before, I think. But yeah, this will be interesting.
Right, so this is one of the 4-hour ones.
The shortest time you've done, yeah? That one?
Yeah, that's the 4-hour one. In we go. Okay, let me just try and manipulate the machine as well. I can make sure it's soaked. And it went up to 0.6, 0.7. So it's sitting at 0.5 parts per million.
Right.
You see that?
Yeah, that's not a lot. How old are these?
0.6. 2 to 3 months.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd imagine nearly all. Well, let's find out. But yeah, 2 to 3 months is quite a long time for silver, I'd say.
Yeah, so there's a lot of degradation there because I wouldn't recommend using it. You need to make it fresh if you're making it at home. Now, throw that away. There might be a little bit in there. What we got? Let's take the 6-hour one. So this is the remnants of the Moonlight machine that we're still calibrating with superheat. So this is, yeah, it's just disappeared. It's buggered off as soon as the nice weather comes. Right. So this is 6 hours. Okay. So still see it's at 0. Let's pick it up.
It might be the disappearance of the moon as to why we're getting such good weather. Have you heard that sort of hypothesis?
0.3. Oh, that makes a.
What was the reading on that one?
0.5. 0.5.
0.5.
0.4. 0.4, 0.5. So 4.5, I'd say. Yeah. It's hard because I need a slightly smaller vessel to get this in because these are only tiny little sample bottles, as you can see. But
yeah,
it gives an idea, doesn't it, roughly?
Cover the.
So let's do the next one.
Cover the sensors.
Okay.
Live science. Can't beat it.
Well, there you go. It's not great science yet. That's no. 0.06. So there's no degradation, is what I'm seeing there. Let's do the last one. What we're really seeing there, from what I've seen so far, is literally batch variation. We're not seeing anything significant. See what happens to this one then.
Do you remember what TDS readings they were? Did you write down what they were when you bottled them?
Yeah, I'll have them written down somewhere. So, look at that one. That's the 22-hour one.
Still only 0.9 though, isn't it?
But that, like I said, that's after 3 months. So there's a little.
Yeah, that's a good experiment. Because mine never gets 3 months old.
Okay, so this is a big jar. 6 hours, 13 volts. Let me read it properly. Which is 4 times 1.5 D batteries. It initially came out on the thingy meter as 6 parts per million. I'm not sure what that means. That's a code written down somewhere.
Yeah, that's quite low.
I'll take this one out now then. The thing with the meters, and this is the thing I would say, John, is they're not accurate because they're ionic readings, and if you're producing colloidal solutions, really, as far as I'm aware, you're not going to get that much detail. Okay, so this one.
No, I don't use it as an accuracy thing. I use it as a gauge, like the laser thing. I use it as a gauge to know when to stop. Because I've never had to go over 20 parts per million.
I mean, as I was alluding to earlier, let me just get the laser light. So these are the things I use, people. This is what I found is the best, which is a silver bar, a 1 ounce bar with silver wire, and then I use those kind of hooked up with through there into the jam jars you see, and then just pass the currents either through that, or that's one of the battery packs I've put together. Look where I've strapped them together. So there's loads of ways of making this stuff. This was disappointing.
My mate used to do it on a car battery.
Well, I bought one of those as well. Where's that? Bloody, yeah, that, look. That's stupid.
And his would go like milk white. Go completely milky white. But it was working too. He was using on his horses. He was using on himself. He was using it for everything, you know. It was clearing up urinary infections and getting rid of blotches on skin, all sorts of stuff. And he was eye dropping the horses that had glaucoma or something. It was you know, you can't deny these sort of empirical tests.
Well, Adam, you sell colloidal silver as a pharmacist, do you not?
Well, we use colloidal silver in many ways. I don't sell it per se because in terms of over-the-counter products, it's not hit the market. But I spoke to a lot of infection control nurses and that on some of the units that I deal with, and one of the fallback things they use for dressings and stuff is silver dressings, and I use a lot of packing technology. And the point of this packing technology, and people see it in their chopping boards. You hear the Actiban technology and stuff in chopping boards. So every time you cut through the plastic, it's still antibacterial. And the reason it is, it's got nanoparticles of silver in there, and that's so it is discussed in terms of what we're doing and what you certainly see on other stuff. So it's, let me just demonstrate. So can you see, if I shine the light into this water, can you see there's nothing happening? Can you see the little bit of light as it hits the glass? Transits through the glass? There's nothing there?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I come across to this one, let me just move that one out of the way.
You can see that. Oh yeah.
All the particles that are in that solution, lot, as weak as that silly meter that's not really reading what we're doing, I find this a lot more accurate than the particle meters, because once you start to see the difference in, you see, there's nothing going through it, and as you run the machine, what you start to see is a visual image of the density of the silver that you're building up.
I've just started an experiment today with two jars of milk, and one of them with a drop of silver in it, and the other one without. And I'm just going to monitor them over the next month or whatever, and see what happens between them.
Oh, I found some more actually. This is some more. I've got shit everywhere. These are some that when I made it, I posted a load off to people to try and just have a go at. So there's a few there, but what I also did was create a silver cream. So I took those solutions and I've concentrated them down a little bit further, and then incorporated them into a. Well, what I did, but what I didn't want to do was expose them to any severe heat. So I tried to expose the solutions to sort of 30, 40 degrees, just to kind of slowly evaporate off 50% of the volume.
Although saying that, I don't think heat affects the silver at all. I think you can, I don't think it affects it, but I might be wrong on that. Maybe that's distilled water.
I didn't know, so what I thought was the best thing is to take a day to evaporate that off. So then I've incorporated that, and
I'd like to
suppose
get some
if people
of that.
are interested, well, I can show you how to make a cream like that. That's, I'm more than happy to bore people to death one day showing you how to do that. It's very straightforward. So yes, I've showed that, and I've tested that a little bit on. Well, it was an insect bite on my lad, and I think we've had really positive results. I could probably show you I'll try and post a few photos into the chat for later or something, but I'll try and send them on. But there was a small insect bite that was not going. You know, when you get these lumps and you probably think, oh, I'll end up going to the doctor. And we used this, and after 2 or 3 days, it dried up. It didn't look any different, but my son was saying, oh, it feels, everything's gone behind it, that hard lump. And within a week or two, it completely gone. And I would say it was the amount you saw me take off my hand there, applied for, 8 or 9 days. And like I say, within a week or two, it was virtually, within 2 weeks, it was gone completely. So, and that was interesting. So,
I wouldn't
considering doing some self-harming, and
I would advise people to look into nano silver taken internally. I've read an awful lot of bad stuff about that, and you know, to be honest, none of us can make nano silver, but they were perfectly happy making this stuff, 100 years ago.
I was going to say I'm a burn victim probably 25, 26 years ago. Jesus, I'm old. I stuck my hand in a fryer and got 2nd and 3rd degree burns all over my hand and my fingers. And part of the treatment was, of course, scrubbing the 3rd degree burns with a fingernail brush. But immediately after was applying Silvadene, which was basically just Adam's colloidal silver emulsified cream right there. And I just applied it every day until it got better. I have 0 scars. I have full mobility. I mean, you'd never know I got burned. Yes. It was nothing short of miraculous.
Yeah, I reckon if you'd soaked colloidal silver into dressings or whatever and wrapped yourself in that, you could have probably got away without scraping off the. Well, you've got to do it, haven't you? I mean, if it's dead skin, it's dead skin. You've got to get it off, but there's got to be better ways than doing it.
Well, before I busted the blisters, they were probably almost 2 inches tall, standing off of my knuckles, the blisters themselves. So then once the doctors finally punctured those and drained those out, I had to soak it in like a liquid dial soap, just sort of a liquid antibacterial. Just soak it until all that skin loosened up and then hit it with that fingernail brush. Yeah, I was 14 years old. It was ridiculous.
Wow. I did the same a few years ago. Well, not the same, but I blew myself up in a gas oven and burnt my whole forearm. Absinthe, I found, worked really well.
Drinking or applying?
Drinking copiously.
Wow.
Nothing I was doing. I didn't know anything about any of this stuff, so all I could do was run it under cold water, and then you take it off, and within seconds it was just back up to the same heat it was before. I'm sure you may remember, Josh, but yeah, it was just a burning heat. It just doesn't go away, and in the end, it was a case of half a bottle of absinthe till I passed out. But I wish I'd known about silver and urine for burns. Urine is fantastic.
You know what else
is
fantastic?
I can hear a bit of an echo, but I think it's you, Josh. Sorry, what's fantastic?
Lavender oil is great immediately after a burn, and just keep reapplying it, and that lavender oil is, again, still nothing short of miraculous. The things it does to burn, like it never happened. Hours.
That's one I know as well, the lavender and the honey. Yep, that was one I was just going to. Yep.
Yeah. What's it?
Maluka.
Manuka honey from New Zealand.
Guys are close, but it's Manuka.
It is, but just to prove I'm not talking crap, I've actually got some here because it's something else I'm interested in experimenting with. So I'll show you that as well, and that's really quite a cool product. That is really, really good in skin infections. There we go. Can we see that? You see that?
We're not seeing it. Plug. There it is.
There we go. All right. Well, that is awesome stuff, and that's the next step of what I'm wanting to look at for things such as Burns cream, stuff like that, is to kind of incorporate the antimicrobial effect of the Manuka honey, which I understand because it's about locking available water away and makes real sense. It's a bit like if you think about when you were a kid, you were taught the fire triangle, weren't you? You have to have heat and whatever those three things at the corners of the triangle are.
Right.
And it's
Fuel.
Yeah, and it's the same. It's the same with microbes. You have to have water, you have to have oxygen, you have to have an energy source. And the strange thing about things like Manuka honey and pure glucose is, even though they're a really high energy source, what they actually end up doing when you put them into a wound like and stuff is they lock away all the available water. So in terms of the bacteria's ability to access the water and the energy, neither become accessible to them because they kind of bond together. That's the strange.
Nice.
Josh, I'll tell you what I would have prescribed if you'd come to me with your burn. Were maggots.
What's that?
Maggots.
That would
How expense them.
less painful, I'm sure.
Hell yeah. Maggots and yeah, they used to do that, didn't they?
About 15 years ago, John, for a couple of months, I used to receive a box of maggots in the post that we would give to the district nurses, who would then take it up to the patient, put it into this necrotizing wound, and the maggots would eat only the dead skin.
Yeah.
And then the nurses would come and take it away and so on and work to treat, as far as I'm aware.
Well, I can imagine that would be a damn sight better than a nail brush.
We don't have enough listeners as it is. Why you got to go saying that on the air now? Gee,
we're a niche audience. We have a niche audience of 3.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's all truth.
That is sickening. That is really, really disgusting. But I'm sure it works.
But it's nature.
It's amazing.
So shall we move on to
only
something
the
flat?
dead skin. Well, you completely distracted me from my weekly roundup.
Right.
Dude,
You
you want the
tell
truth?
us how to cut a watermelon.
Oh, I weren't having it. But quickly, there was one thing that I've been tweeting with a few people this week, the sundozer. I sent that link to Josh, and it's basically, I don't know, it looks like an aeroplane cutting across the sun, but people have said it's a dozer, or
What's a
also, I don't know if you
sundozer?
guys have ever seen. Have you got the link there, Josh?
Never heard of
kind
a
of-
sundozer.
No, I didn't. I'd seen it as I was surfing, and it's basically, it looks like an aeroplane cutting across somebody who's the sun.
Looks like
And what
a
it ends
bird.
up doing is slightly taking an angular cut off the edge of the sun as it flies across. And then that angular cut disappears and the sun comes back. But there would seem to be a lot of flat earth debaters out there attributing it as something marvelous, or whether it was alien people attributing it as this. And it just seemed odd to me. So I jumped in saying that's interesting. And somebody came in and said, well, it looks to me like it's kind of the heat haze effect of the jet engine. So as it goes across the edge of the sun, the heat haze of the jet engine blends it away, and you see the edge of the sun disappear, and then it comes back as the plane's gone. But that seemed to have sparked quite a bit of debate, and that. And I just wonder if you guys would have a look at it, see what you thought, because it seemed, as we don't know what a sundozer is, but this is how the things were labelled. Have you got it there, Josh? Oh, big.
I do indeed.
Awful.
Well, I myself have seen quite a few interactions with the sun as far as clouds go, but personally, I've not witnessed that. Now, we had a guy here in the chat just a few minutes ago, Casey Josh. On his channel, he has some pretty incredible footage like that of airplanes interacting with sun and just some really amazing stuff. The other guy I know is QNF. Oh, there you go. You've got him right there. That also has some amazing footage like that I've seen. Pretty crazy stuff.
I'm a bit pragmatic about this sort of stuff. I think you probably know.
Oh, I'm sure. Again,
I just don't see clouds going behind. I just see the sun whiting them out. Yeah, that's what I see though. But
all right, I'll send you guys one real quick.
I mean, there's no real way of determining whether it's the sun blotting it out or whether it's gone behind the sun. But if it goes behind the sun, then you're saying clouds are higher than
forget the clouds. Forget the clouds. Look at this thing cutting across. Right. It seems to skim the top of the sun off, and then keep looking at where the sun is, because they don't seem to focus on that. You see, look, as it goes across, it cuts a segment as it goes across, look, from its transit. But you also see it start to come back later on. And somebody intelligent in the Twitter feed said to me, well, it's just, like I said, the haze effect of the vapor trail behind the jet engines, which to me,
that's what I'm seeing.
Makes sense.
I mean, engines, when you look through the exhaust of an engine or even a car, I mean, it distorts so badly, even at, an early, on a small scale like that. Not convinced, but I'm also not convinced that how you'd be able to prove it either way, other than getting up there.
No, I think that's what I said in chat. I've not a clue. That was my favourite explanation so far, without further evidence that it's a jet plane, and because we're zooming in so much with the P900, we're only getting an impression of the sun at that.
I mean, I don't know if this is out of context. Is there? Have they shown a plane? I mean, I wouldn't say that particularly looks like a plane, but it's. Have they shown a plane approaching the sun beforehand, or are we guessing it's a plane?
Well, would you call what you must know more on this? You know what I mean? What are the explanations for stuff like this, dude?
I think it's that whole thing that we've been grappling with since this all started, as far as what is the sun and what are we seeing when we're looking at the sun. If you want to say the sun is a projection into our realm, which Eric Dollard, that seems to be his prevailing theory. The sun is a transformer of energy from another realm. Call it ether, call it another dimension, call it what you want. But if that's what the sun actually is a cymatic, energetic, electromagnetic projection that is above us, creating heat and energy, then it being able to interact with something a lot closer than 3,000 miles up, as you see, as it hits that edge right there, it definitely seems to pull some plasma towards it. I don't see that ever happening with a cloud. I've seen planes approach clouds, and I never see something get pulled towards them. And then when it leaves out the backside, that little stream that seems to come through with it, again, I've never seen that happen with a cloud. If a plane goes through a cloud, it disintegrates it and pulls it as a long stream behind it. This cloud doesn't pop back into shape like it does at the edge of that sun. So,
is there any way, Josh, you can back that up 3 planes worth? Because you can actually see 2 engines, or even there. Look.
Yeah, there's some optical issue going on, and that's why I think the sun is more of an optical, energetic projection than a physical.
I think you're just
up there
seeing
either
light.
that or they switched it out already, and it's their sun now.
Well, look, the 2 engines coming out the back there.
Get that? That would be a big crash explosion. I'm still not buying that whole thing either. I think that's just distraction at this point. But
I think what you're seeing. Sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think what you're seeing there is a confirmation what Geber describes from a much more concentrated point of view. Rob was talking about water molecules in the atmosphere magnifying light, which is why you see certain images at certain distances strangely bigger than maybe they should be at the top. And there's to me you're seeing there is the sun's light's hitting that point of the atmosphere this way. And what we're then seeing, because of the camera as well, is a jet stream of vapors, but mostly water vapor, that's then also having an effect on the rest of that light as it passes across, which is why it's so transient, the effect. Because as the vapor dissipates quickly, so does the image that it leaves. And I think what we're actually seeing there is not a plane pulling plasma off an image that must be created within the atmosphere around those clouds, because what we are seeing is just a trick of the light as water vapor. That water vapor trail, if I was to twist 90 degrees, would be a different shape for the person 90 degrees to my south or north. Do you know what I mean? It's a trick of the light. I don't think it's a pull of anything substantial.
I think it's the exhaust and sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Well, just on that before I get off that. Okay, so then would you say that the lunar wave is something similar to what you're saying? Because I can definitely hear what you're saying and see the interaction with that. Because if we're saying the lensing is what's causing what we're seeing with the sun, then the lensing can definitely be affecting what we're seeing happening with the plane. I didn't actually think about the extent of the water vapor interaction. So
the thing with the lunar wave is that it's predictable, isn't it? Apparently, I haven't been able. I've never seen it, so I don't know if it exists or not. But I'm taking Crow's word for it, and numerous other people. But it seems to be predictable. But it could well be. When you fill your car up with petrol or whatever, and you look through,
you get those little waves,
all the waves and everything, and that's petrol. So this is hot stuff coming out the back of a jet engine. And at this frozen point here, I would say that the vapor trails coming out of the engines are lensing the sun, so that they're showing up.
Snapback is the only part that really kinks my brain. Like go forward 2 frames and let that little piece snap back to the sun. That's the part that I don't get, because I don't see vapors acting that way.
Well, I think the vapors would be left in space, wouldn't they, until they dissipate, which may give the effect that they're being sucked back into the sun or something. I don't know.
So.
What I would add, guys, there is look at the image that's on screen now. Where is the thickest part? If the plane was going over the sun and pulling any substance off of the sun or from the image, then the thickest part of the would be the point where the plane approaches and then leaves, and that's going to be the thickest bit, because any is a reduction as it leaves. What you're actually seeing there, look, is that as the plane leaves the plane of the sun, the thickest part is the bit that you can see last, and that's because the vapor has dissipated more because the plane's traveled a bit further away. So the dissipation of the vapor is wider, hence the plasma pull, as some would refer to it as, appears to be thicker, yet why is it still pulling it at this point? It wasn't sucking when it transited on the other side. As it approached, there was no suck towards it.
I saw that strange. Like it was to me, a little suck towards the plane. That right there at the beginning. That's what. Yeah.
Oh, shit the bed. That's good.
So back up 1 frame, Josh. 1 frame right before it hits the sun.
You said
that's the sun, though, isn't it?
But again,
that's I know, like you're the man.
That's still behind. That's still behind the engines.
That's going to say that's still vapor trail, isn't it? Look.
So I would say the exhaust at this point is lensing the sun.
That proves the point. That photo proves the point I'm making, because look, there's nothing coming off the sun. It's happening after the engine.
Now
Look
it's
at that,
starting to lens.
Look.
Yeah, there it goes. You're right. It is after it actually gets in front. You're right. In slow speed, I see it. So,
well, we may not be right. We may not be
no,
wrong.
we're all
we may
just analyzing it. I love doing live analysis. This is awesome.
It is great. It's just one of those things that is almost impossible.
Oh, but you see that little, that weird area that's going on around it. You see those little splotches that are far away from the plane? That's interesting, too. That could be more of that lensing. Man, I want to pull this thing and put it up in a different program and play with it.
It's bloody good footage, though. I like it.
Oh, it's great. Like I said, QNP has great footage like this, and Casey Josh, he's one of my long go-to guys. I don't know if he's still in the chat with us, but he's got some amazing footage of things going on with the moon and sun and clouds that are just literally mind-breaking, mind-melting.
What's interesting is the next couple of frames, Josh. Look, once the plane gets past and has gone, the density. If you look, just now, stop. Look, can you see that actually it's still more dense around the sun, even though the rest of it's trailed away? Now, I think that is further confirmation of what I'm saying, because it's no longer what you're seeing is no longer really related on trail that we are relating it to. What you're actually seeing now is the contrail's virtually gone. And see, dissipation is where the intensity of the sunlight is at its most, which is why you're seeing those edge bits there.
I'm trying to find the picture I was wanting to send you guys to kind of take an idea of what I've seen with the sun. And
yeah, you had some cracking footage of it. I must say, it was like an orange sun, wasn't it? It was orange and dark clouds, and it
was literally wrapped around it. I can't explain it any other way, because there's a shadow being cast into the distance. Yeah. We have it from 3 different angles, 3 different positions, 3 different places that are at least a quarter mile apart.
Yeah, I think my point is that you can't. There's no way of knowing whether the sun's blotting out what's in front of it or whether something is going behind it. It's one of those circular.
Even with filters, it's tough. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the point I then asked the Twitterati was, does this prove or disprove simulation theory? What we've just seen.
I don't know about that whole thing.
What the
simulation theory?
What have we just seen?
What?
And why does that got anything to do with simulation?
Well, Mr. Awake Souls would hypothesize that we're all projected our own sun. And whilst I don't necessarily disagree with that statement, we all see our own sun, I don't think we're all have our own simulated sun given to us via some network or matrix or whatever. I do think that the environment simulates the sun that we see, and I think that's what we're seeing is actually the atmosphere between us and the sun's rays hitting us massively changes how both we experience the sun, as we see with clouds, but also how we see the sun, density of the atmosphere between us and the sun. When there's a cloud there, it's quite clear. Oh, the sun's behind the clouds, I can't see it. But when there's varying levels of atmosphere between us and the sun, how we then perceive that sun, as we're seeing there by just that jet trail, creating what appears to be a little plume. NASA might have cut out that plane and called that a sunspot or an explosion off the sun. Do you know what I mean? It's the way that's perceived, that trail without the, if you couldn't see the plane, you might actually see the slight illumination off the sun with the naked eye. Do you know what I mean? So the point I'm making is I think sometimes what we actually see is very variant upon what we're looking through.
Well, if you have a second, Josh, I just dropped 3 pictures in the live show chat. Pop those in for me real quick, or one of them, not all 3, just grab one and have a look. The orangish one at the bottom is the one I actually took myself. or the more orange one, I guess, at the bottom.
Yeah, I just shared the first one.
Nice. Oh yeah, no, that's the one someone I know took, and literally almost from the same position, just a few minutes later when they noticed it, because we all like turned around and saw this in the sky and thought a mushroom cloud had appeared. So we all snapped pictures just to say, "Wow, look at this crazy cloud formation." And this was like July, I think, of 2014. And I was still grappling with many things, trying to figure out about NASA, trying to figure out about all this stuff. I was, still grappling. I had no clue about close sun. I thought the sun was still 3,000 miles away. So it never occurred to me until I went back to these pictures about 7 months later to delete them out of my folders. That I was like, wait, what's going on? That was about 8 o'clock. The sun was setting, but had not set.
So how far away do you think the sun is, Walt?
Dude, it's variable in the extreme.
That's amazing, that picture, Walt. That proves look at the closeness of the sun. Look how it's
the shadow behind it. That's what's crazy. The shadow into the distance behind it. Look at that going to the and then the next one, Josh, pop that one up. That was about a quarter of a mile away. Somebody else took and sent to me to go, wow, have you seen this? And I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing it right now.
Almost looks like it if it's about to come out of a portal there right in front of you.
Yeah, there it is. So that was about a quarter of a mile away around the curve there. And you see the shadow going into the distance even more so. Just from that quarter mile difference, the shadow is completely different looking.
That one's better because the lightness of the sky at the top of the screen. Look at how light the blue is, and that shows the locality of this. How can you equate that picture to miles away?
No, there's
just
no
doesn't. Look at the locality of the light source. How it's contained within that small cloud. Yet
where is the sun?
Top of the photo is blue.
Walt?
It's in that picture. It looks like it's in that cloud to me.
But when you took
somebody else said, "Oh, it's setting, and it's casting shadow up on it from the horizon line." That's what somebody explained to me when I showed it to them. I'm like, if it's setting, then what's the light source shining on the front of that cloud? Then
that's what I was thinking. So you're looking
the
west,
sunset, I'm looking west. That's directly west. Yeah, those are all looking to the west. The shadow is pointing to where the sun is.
What is lighting the front of that cloud?
Exactly, and that's about 8 p.m. I've looked at all. That's about sunset time. So what the hell's going on there? I
would suggest it is setting. If you
about an hour before sunset, actually.
Yeah, if you draw
sunset was 5 p.m. for us then.
I would say the sun is considerably lower than where it appears at this point. Yeah, the perspective lines and the sun, the lines it's coming back at you with its light, are interacting at the distance that cloud is, which is why you're seeing it's illuminated at that point. So if you think of it like drawing a triangle, do you know what I mean? The cloud's halfway along the hypotenuse of a triangle if you draw it, and that's why you're seeing it illuminated as the sun's setting. Do you get me? The cloud is creating the illusion that the sun is there. Actually, it's probably a lot further away and lower down. Possible. But because of perspective, because the light's actually traveling straight into that cloud, it's at the point where that's why that cloud's illuminated and not other clouds further back or more in front.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I couldn't get either. If that is sunset illuminating that cloud, then why aren't the ones right above it being illuminated? Why aren't the ones over there to the left by those trees being illuminated? It should be a spray of light across the sunset, not a direct line to that cloud bank.
Well,
and we stayed and watched until it was like karaoke night. We were headed in to go do, and it was my time. So we headed in, and when I came back out, it had all dissipated and wasn't that way anymore. Because I would definitely have taken a lot more pictures just for the interestingness of it. At that time, I had no clue that it might be some kind of sun phenomena occurring that was flat related. I was just taking pictures of the sky like I do.
Well, we are running up on almost an hour and a half now.
Wow, good stuff. Wow. Good.
Yeah, that one flew.
Well, if we need a little tea break, I guess this would be the time for it. And if we would like to, when we come back, someone in the chat earlier was asking about the chemtrails here in my state of Louisiana, and of me, and asking Trippy McGee there how it's been going. And I made a little video about it actually this week, because it's been going pretty crazy here. And it kind of all culminated in a big, huge hailstorm just a few weeks back that did serious damage to my town. So I just made a little video about it. We can throw that up when we get back if you guys would like to see the effects of this non-existent chemtrailing over our heads.
Love to, Walt. Love to, mate.
Sweet. So shall we do our weekly gravity spot?
So it's up to you guys. I'll leave it to you. I'm always up for a little gravity.
I am too. I've not listened to it at all this week, actually. It's getting to be these last couple of weeks. The only time I hear it is on Fridays. So I'm apt to play it. And since I have little else loaded up already, I think I might just do
Play it with impunity. Like I said, I've got my guy on the phone now, so we go.
Alrighty. So you are listening to the Iron Row Media. This is Flat Earth Friday. Thank God it's flat. My name is Josh Corey. This has been the first hour and a half of the podcast. Stay tuned. We will be back shortly.
We're up pretty high, our heads are almost in the clouds, and their feet are chained to the ground with their chains of misery. They've got a hold of me, they won't let go of me. Let go of me. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you while you defy gravity. They can be cruel and mean, and a smile can be the sign they're missing out on their rainy day. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you while you defy gravity. You defy They say we aren't strong enough, we don't have what it takes. I say yeah, they're wrong enough, and we'll show them someday. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Oh yeah, don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you. Oh, you defy gravity. You defy gravity. You defy gravity. Yeah, yeah. At you, oh, you defy gravity.
Hold on tight.
3, 2, 1.
And now, here's your host.
Welcome back, everybody. We've made it. We've made it an hour and a half, almost 2 hours with 0 interruptions. I'm even pretty sure they're getting a smooth stream on YouTube, which last week was ridiculous. Can't even watch it.
That's screwed then.
Yeah, this week's been going exceptionally smooth. So yeah, what else has been going on this week?
Until now, that is, Josh, since you just said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. We just woke up.
Can you hear me? Sorry, carry on.
Song? So is James back? James, are you around? He must still be getting coffee, because he put out another video this week that I wanted to address before we started talking about our John Brahma interview from last week, which was super loaded with information. We've spent the whole week trying to wrap our feeble little minds around some of the things that he said. And unfortunately, I'm no closer now than I was last week as to whether or not I necessarily believe him.
Much more info needed, I think. We need him back on.
Yeah, that's the issue. At this point, there's still not enough information that we can vet. Really, there's none that we can vet at this point. And that's pretty suspect in my opinion. But then again, if he is some high-ranking member of the UN stationed down in the Antarctic to deter any would-be visitors, then I don't suppose there'd be a whole lot of information he would be willing to necessarily give up trying to protect himself. So, I don't know.
I think it's a tricky situation.
It is a tricky situation.
I wouldn't want to be suspicious of people
Hello,
just because they can't offer up, tangible evidence or anything. But it's in order to be taken seriously, it needs tangible information. It needs something we can get our teeth sunk into. But hiya guys, welcome.
There's hi Jim. There's a little phrase that comes to mind, John, there, and it's in at the moment, and it's a little misogynistic, but it fits in the 80s in terms of boys talking about girlfriends, which was treat them mean and keep them keen. And that's kind of how I'm feeling at the moment, is we're all gagging, hanging around, desperate for the cool kid to tell us something. Do you know what I mean? And I'm at the stage where realistically it's looking a little predictable that the way to make your next news bite piece of information more believable and more ready acceptable to believable is to just put it out after no communication with anyone. And that's my point this week. We've put a number of hands out for communication, and I'm certainly not aware of any responses unless anyone else could kind of
can we get an update?
Walter, you've been in contact with him, have you not? Mr. Mute, I hope you're not talking away in your headset, because you are muted. I have not spoken with him. So again, kind of dropped the ball on that this week with talking to anybody.
Well, I see Karen's in the chat. Maybe we could bung her a link. Maybe she's had some interactions, has something to say. I don't know.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, let me do that. Let me shoot Karen a link. Hopefully she's feeling better this week and can pop on with us.
Come on, Karen. I think Karen's the most informed and, in terms of in contact with all of us. So hopefully she'll have.
I apologize for being late back from my little coffee break.
That's
all
right.
Well,
You missed your chance.
Yep.
Was my presence needed? I apologize.
It was, but we're going to go to Karen now. So hopefully Karen's going to be more reliable than you were.
I am not reliable. If
Karen.
you guys were asking about John, is that the question on the floor at the
Yes.
moment? I've actually
Sure
been in touch with him as well, and he is very ready to talk with us again. It would have been this week if it could have been, but it wasn't possible. Just things are too hectic on his end. Apparently, at the moment, he's trying to get some, just the way he said it, I guess, security measures more in place. If, for computer security, not like armed guards or anything, although who knows with what he's talking about, he might need those as well. But he definitely is eager to discuss more in detail. He knows that there's a lot of things that were left hanging and left unanswered, and a lot of questions that were definitely raised that we didn't even get to broach with him. So everybody out there in the chat, or everybody out there listening to us, definitely send your questions you might have for John Brahma here to us at Iron Realm Media. You can get us here on YouTube. You can find us at Iron Realm Media on Twitter. You can also send any questions to ironrealmmedia@gmail.com. And we also have the line. It's 304-503-FLAT-3528. So send your questions our way so that when we speak to Mr. Brahma, we could get some of those questions to him as well. He would like to speak to everybody personally, but
can people call in on that number now?
They certainly
absolutely can. They can call in. I'm not entirely sure how well.
Well, they
Thanks,
can call
Joe.
it. What'll happen after they do, we have no guarantee.
I was sort of asking Josh there.
We will hear them very well. I'm not entirely sure how well they'll be able to understand us. But as I recall, that was the case.
Right.
So, if anyone wants to try the flat number, the flat line, go for it. We'll have Kiefer Sutherland standing by.
If you don't want to talk on the air, but you would like to be featured on the air, you could call the flat line and just leave us a message, and it will save it for us in MP3 form. So we'll be able to play it next week or play it for John whenever we talk to him next. So you can send us a text message on the flat line too. We can just read it verbatim, or go ahead and leave a message.
And that's for John Brown, not me.
That's
you
for
can ask me a
John
question too.
I was going to say John Savage.
Start calling you Savage. Savage.
Or if you have any questions for any of us here in the Iron Realm, our mad scientist Adam, if you'd like to find out more about what he's doing in his laboratory.
So funny. I had it on mute earlier when you were showing everything, and my son stepped through the room and he's like, "What are you looking at? What are you watching?" I'm like, "Our resident mad scientist. Don't worry about it. Is that Lego box I'm saying? Yeah, just don't worry. He's got it all rigged up. Don't worry. It's all going to work out."
I'm going to worry when I see that.
The shit we go through, Adam,
Internal reflection is a good thing.
That's it.
Karen, good evening. Move on.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, Karen. We got an update on John?
I don't really know. I started to hear what Walt said, but I got cut off, so I missed. But I did hear that he was saying that John wants to continue and have another chat, which I can confirm. He said the same to me. He's very keen. It's just about getting together, and he suggests a Skype call meeting with you guys, and
Yes.
Skype he has with him at all times, so it sort of kind of gets him to be more available.
That's a good idea.
So it's the time zones and everything are literally getting in the way, and everybody's been busy doing their thing. So it's pinning everyone down to the same.
Yeah, we don't know anything about the time zone challenge at all here at the Iron Realm. Oh my goodness! But we will overcome it for sure. We certainly will.
But it's good because we've been practicing on Skype.
You have been.
Yes, we have.
Well, seems to be working all right.
Jump on a few times with training wheels before we just ran off on the air live. So
yeah, it's still like learning Arabic, but we've got to, have backups for sure.
And the sound quality is so much better on Skype.
Yeah, the sound is so much better. So
apart from my sound.
Well,
never mind.
For doing the video, John. By the way.
That's all right. That's all right.
Now I'm going to electrocute
you haven't exploded yourself or set the house on fire yet, have you?
Not attempted it yet. I will be. I'm waiting for my kit to come.
Send me photos of anything if you're unsure. Let me have a look before you plug something in.
Okay.
But well done for going for it. Have you got some silver yet?
No, where do I get that from?
I get it off eBay. And it's jewelry, jeweler's silver or whatever. Try and get the thickest rods you can get. What about you, Adam? Where'd you get yours? You used medallions, didn't you? I did it with a silver coin once that I cut in half. It was meant to be 99.999, and it wasn't. It wasn't very good.
So that's important. That if you're gonna whatever shape of silver you're using, you use the highest possible grade. So what you saw, I bought. You can go to eBay on the. What I had there is some silver that I bought as an insurance policy sort of things and investment things, and it's a great investment. I can't see a better way of spending it, slowly dissolving it for health. But what you saw right.
Yes, Adam, that you know of when you have silver to know what its purity is, other than breaking it down and then testing it after the fact?
Obviously, if you're looking at basic frauds, then and you go and don't buy coins, as John alludes to there, that most coins have more impurities in solely to make them more wearable over time. So there'll be impurities in it. But if you buy decent bullion, which is what I bought it from, and they were about, those 2 nuggets are 1 ounce, so they're about 20 quid a piece. And if you're thinking of value for money, that's the way to do it, because if you saw the wire that was wrapped around them that I used, if you go to eBay, that was about 20 quid as well. So that was the alternative. You could just buy those wires and use one as your anode, one as your cathode.
That's what I did for about a year.
Yeah. So what you could do is, what I've done there is have small amounts of silver and use copper as your transmission. As long as the copper's not in the solution, you should be fine.
Adam, I'm sorry to interrupt you for a minute. I've just had a question from somebody in the audience. Is the colloidal, for both you and John, is the colloidal silver safe for animals, for pets and dogs to consume as well in smaller doses to kind of help?
Yep, absolutely. I've used it I've used it for eye drops. What I do if my dog is under the weather or whatever, has something wrong with him, then I'll give him 2 water bowls, one with silver in it and one with fresh water in it. Both fresh water, obviously, but one with silver in it. And so he's got the choice to go through it. But yeah, it's no problem for them at all.
Excellent. That is excellent.
Maybe I could
obviously explain. Don't take my word for it. I could be a raving lunatic talking out my arse and wanting to poison all your animals. So do your own research, obviously. But I had to do my own research before I was confident enough to give it to my dog.
A little extreme, but thank you for the disclaimer.
There you go.
The thing I would add to that from a pharmacological point of view is that human cells and dog cells,
fish cells, whatever. They're all very, very similar in structure. What there is a difference to is bacterial cells, and bacterial cell walls often tend to be a lot thinner. And certainly the hypothesis in terms of alternative health, and also as to what I was alluding to earlier in terms of antimicrobial technology, is that silver, monomolecular silver and colloidal silver, which is basically a cluster. That's what colloidal means, a cluster of silver atoms. So maybe not one atom small, but very, very small, a cluster of them. What these are able to do is penetrate through the cell wall. And because their cell wall is a lot thinner, it ends up rupturing it and killing the bacteria. Now, the thing I would... there may be people out there go, what a load of rubbish. That sounds ridiculous. How stupid is that? It's a thinner cell wall and it makes it pop. Well, the way in which penicillin works is, as you have penicillin, the penicillin differentiates between the structure of the human and mammalian cell walls, which is a lot thicker, to the structure of the bacterial cell walls. And within this, it specifically locates on, because the bacterial cell wall is so thin, it requires a bit of scaffolding, put simply. And this scaffolding is called peptidoglycan.
Nice analogy.
So I'm trying to keep it out of the realms of geekdom. And this scaffolding keeps the cell wall solid, so that the osmotic pressures between inside and outside, wherever it is, water always wants to flow in. And so basically it keeps the osmotic pressure so that the bacteria doesn't explode and allow water to keep flooding in. It keeps the pressure at a level. And that's the way in which penicillin works. What it does is a thing called peptidoglycan, which is the kind of structural integrity of the cell wall. And in weakening that, that's actually how your penicillins work, because it weakens the cell wall so much that water floods into the bacteria and it bursts like a balloon. And therefore, the analogy, as ridiculous as silver sounds, bursting through the cell wall is actually
spot on.
Okay.
Another question's popped up. This is going much, much better than I could have even imagined. Another question for pets from somebody else I just got DM'd. Can or is there something that you recommend, John or Adam or anybody, for brushing dogs' teeth? And can you use colloidal silver for that as well?
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, absolutely. I would use baking soda and coconut oil. Anyone else?
Sounds great.
Again, yeah, I would. John, don't be so modest. John again is a leading light here, and somebody who's leading a pharmacist in
absolutely
me some great stuff. John can teach you how to make a toothpaste really, really well.
Excellent.
The only thing I would add is, on top of this, we've chatted. This is really weird because me and John's chatted recently about this, because I've been taking charcoal and compounding it and trying to. Charcoal. Yeah, and John, take the lead, mate. Go, because you're the expert.
Oh. Well, I'm not an expert in anything, mate. I just got some time to read, but no, thanks for your kind words. No, I mean they make charcoal biscuits and things like this for dogs that they can chew on and stuff, but charcoal's fantastic for, I know it's black and I know it's powder, but you get activated charcoal and crush it down in a pestle of mortar or whatever. You rub that on your own teeth. Oh, what I do is I practice everything on myself before I do it with the dog, and then also cross check it online with as many sources as I can, and that can take months. literally months of reading hundreds of sources, because I have made mistakes with my dog and myself, and it was mainly due to not spending enough time researching and being completely objective about the research. But charcoal is absolutely a great tooth cleaner, without a doubt.
I know I said I'd shut up, but there is something that I've been reading on that I'd like to really add scientifically. How I talked to you guys about fluoride and how it binds to calcium acetate to create a much tougher enamel that's much more permeable to erosion, which is lovely if all you're doing is putting acid on your teeth with crappy foods. The thing that what I didn't say is that the thing that's essential, and that what that does is bind irreparably. It makes it a solid crystalline structure. It dies. The thing that what charcoal does is it actually promotes the remineralization of the tooth enamel. So it actually promotes the healthy living of a natural tooth. So as long as you've not had a root canal, in which case it's dead. Do you know what I mean? But that's the other interesting thing that I've been reading the past week or so, John, is that it's shown to actually promote the remineralization process, the ion exchange within the tooth and the saliva that is there as designed. Yeah. So there you go.
Also, eating raw parsley as well is very good for the teeth. Don't know why, but there you go.
Can I ask you to do a video, John, if you've got 5 minutes?
On what?
On the toothpaste.
On the toothpaste? Yeah. It's it's literally just it's as simple as it sounds. It's coconut oil and what did I say? Sodium bicarbonate.
Baking soda.
Baking soda. Well, yeah, the medical grade, food grade sodium bicarbonate. And you basically just mash them together, and that's a great toothpaste. I've been using that for years now. Kids, wife, everything have been using that for years. In the winter, you can add a little bit of olive oil to it to slack it up, because it does become pretty solid in the winter. And in the summer, what could you add to it, Adam, to harden it up?
Well, I think the best and most sensible thing in the summer is stick it in the fridge. Then
it becomes solid. Nah, it's like the butter, you see. You got to get it exactly right temperature. Maybe
shea. I'd go shea butter. Shea butter.
Okay, what's that?
Shea butter. Shea, it's cocoa butter.
Yeah, probably not oral.
Yeah, not oral.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest taking shea butter early.
No, I don't know what would trigger it up, but another thing I've kind of learned over the years is a little drop of oregano oil in whatever toothpaste you're making is just goes years towards fixing any problems as far as receding gums.
Tea tree oil as well.
Tea tree is great as well.
And be careful with both of those. Those are very hot oils.
Very careful.
So be very
one
careful,
drop, literally, then try it.
Yeah. Go slow. Yeah, it's an uphill.
But you can really have a good. You can have a really good time experimenting with all this stuff. But yeah, in the summertime, I have to think about that one.
The thing I was thinking about making it easy for you, John, in terms of charcoal was certainly UK people. If you went and bought, as you alluded to, a charcoal biscuit or tablet, they're about the size of a standard paracetamol, acetaminophen tablet, as you guys would call it. And if you was to crush that into, say, 20-30 grams, the equivalent of a toothpaste size, I think that would be sufficient charcoal, and then incorporated it into whatever you were making in terms of cocoa butter or whatever.
Yeah, you brought me back onto that. I think that would solidify it up in the summer. Is charcoal, so you put a bit of charcoal in it in the summer, because that absorbs, all that liquid and everything that comes when the weather is hot. And in the winter you add a little bit of olive oil, which is also, olive oil is great for your gums and teeth as well. You can do olive oil pulling. You could do coconut oil pulling, which is basically, you stick a teaspoon or a tablespoon or however much you want of the oil in your mouth, and just let it sit there and swish it around for 10-15 minutes and then spit it out.
Pulling? You call that?
Say again?
Oil pulling. I think they call that oil pulling when you
oil
swish
pulling. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I've tried it. It's a great practice. It definitely helps get plaque off. It's amazing what it does for your breath and your tongue and just
your tongue
your
as
taste
well.
buds wake up. Oh yeah, your taste buds wake up.
Would you elaborate on that practice for us?
You literally just take, like you said, a mouthful of coconut oil and you swish it around for a long time. Everything I've read
2
about
minutes?
it, the longer the better. Oh, more like 10.
But isn't it hard? The coconut oil, I know it's like a kind of
at room temperature can actually turn into a liquid. So in your mouth,
it melts in your
start
mouth.
out grain, but it'll melt away. Or if there's some chunks, if it's a little older, maybe just chew on it, it'll go away.
And I
swish.
10-15 minutes minimum.
10-15 at least.
But don't swallow it.
20.
Spit it
don't
out.
Swallow it, and don't spit it down your drain. Spit it in the trash because it will clog up your system. Your your sewer system.
Yeah.
Good tip.
You can quite happily, take a teaspoon of coconut oil and swallow that down. That's very good for you. But don't hang it. Don't hang it around in your mouth for a long time. And
you're just swallowing grossness at that point. Yeah, that would be bad. But yeah, it's
cool.
a great practice. And as you grow older, you start thinking, man, this just doesn't taste the way it did when I was younger, because your tongue is just getting coated with, I don't know, I drink a lot of coffee, and so that doesn't help. It coats the tongue with gross. So doing that, it was like tasting fruit again was just like a new experience, and things I haven't enjoyed in years just tasted fresh again. So, yeah, definitely highly recommend the oil.
So one more time, because I'm actually going to try it. How much... should I go for? How many? 2 tablespoons in your mouth? How much again? Can you tell us?
Just whatever you can comfortably swish around. Just scoop a little spoonful up and
a couple of teaspoons.
Okay.
To start off with, just a sort of mouthful, basically.
You don't want it to be so much that you can't swish.
Room temperature coconut oil for about 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah,
organic.
It'll melt in your mouth. Yeah, preferably organic, first press, all that sort of thing.
Cold press,
right? Cold pressed, organic. There's another. I forget what they call it.
I know what you're talking about, but you know what,
best
John?
Quality you can get.
I'm going to make a little health series. I'll work with you, and we'll put out a video with all of this stuff in it.
We all did,
a little side.
We've all done some research over the years in this topic.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Little Iron Realm.
Right.
Little Iron Realm remedies for everyone.
That's it. Trademark.
I'd appreciate that.
Oh, I'm sure you can offer a lot, Karen.
I'm sure she does.
No, I'd appreciate that you did it. I'd like to hear a lot. What you're saying now is really what I need to hear.
What do you like using? Do you use any sort of home natural remedies?
No, I'm terrible. I just literally leaves and hope that way. I don't. I don't do any medicines at all. I'm
just graze a bit and hope it works out, huh?
That's a good way to be, though, Karen. To be fair.
Yeah. Well, I must have
nothing
quite a strong something going on because apparently I've had TB and I didn't know. So, and I got through that one, and I didn't have a clue, and I wasn't receiving medicine.
Only a flesh wound.
Right.
Yeah. It was only a graze. It's okay. Stick a plaster on it.
Well, we're hard. Us West Country, as you know, we're hard.
That's what it is, John. It's the southern air.
Whenever we look at medicines, Karen, it's about remembering that medicines are there to relieve symptoms, whether they're Western conventional medicines or whether they're herbal medicines, homeopathic. In the majority of cases, they're there to relieve symptoms and aid you towards what we've forgotten, which is what a doctor has forgotten, which is about the health of the individual and
the most important thing in all of that ever is diet and input, because your body can only build with what you give it, and your body basically replenishes its cells. You know, you're turning a new body over every few years. So,
well, speaking of that, who can get raw milk? Who drinks raw milk?
I can get it. I drink it. It's too expensive.
Wow,
but
really?
I can. Yeah.
What about you, Karen?
Raw milk, no. What does raw milk do?
Well, it's unpasteurized, unhomogenized.
Okay, no, I drink almond milk. I can't do cow's milk at all.
Okay, you said almond milk, was it?
Almond milk,
okay,
yes. Yeah.
And you can get coconut milk and all sorts of other things, but I just hear a lot about raw milk, and the fact that it's so difficult to get hold of makes me think it's probably bloody good for you.
There's a lovely conspiracy there, isn't it? Nice.
If I might chip in, my I don't even know. I've come across an amazing recipe made with raw milk in terms of homemade ice cream. Have you guys heard of that?
Nice.
Yeah,
ice cream so much.
It's a lot more expensive, and it tastes different. It was funny because when it was served, the people that didn't like it. They didn't think it tasted like ice cream. They thought it was tasted like grass and very earthy. Whereas I was like, wow, I taste the raw vanilla. I can taste this in it. But that was when I was healthy, when I was juicing and doing all that good stuff. So that's a far cry from where we are today.
You'll be getting back there.
Yep. You guys will be happy to know that there was not any pop bought this week, case-wise. There was just 1 cent because somebody forgot. So I've completely cut down on the pop.
Now's the time for the soundboard. Josh.
Right, that's what I mean.
No, that really is good, James, because that shit is horribly horribly addictive.
John.
Yes.
Yeah.
John. Hello. Going back to the milk. The only reason I don't drink milk, I'm a tea addict, but I don't like the flavour of milk. I've heard that our body doesn't break down the fat. Is that not the case then? Or it does, obviously, but it struggles.
Most people I've heard are lactose intolerant. No one, when I was in Africa, you almost couldn't get a tea or chai or whatever with milk. It was always black, because they just don't drink milk. I don't know. Personally, I've loved the taste of milk from a kid.
I've
when they used to leave
two conflicting stories there, John. That the first one is, whose milk? We're human beings. Whose milk are we drinking? Whose milk's that designed for? Cows. I'm not a cow. It's not designed for me. That's why we have lactose intolerance. Okay, breast milk that everybody is so repugnant about is what you should see in the supermarket shelves. That's what human beings should be drinking. Okay, now
possibly
there is a African tribe that wander the plains, herding huge cows, and huge herds of cows, and they live off basically the cow's milk. And these guys are the most muscular, athletic people you've ever seen in your life, with the best teeth, the happiest people you've seen. I don't see any lactose diarrhea anywhere. Do you know what I mean? There's none of it. So there you go. There's the 2 points I would make.
Whilst going through Africa, I mean, what struck me was the the quality of people's teeth out there. I don't know if it was because their skin was darker and their teeth looked whiter or whatever it was, but no, this was backed up in the early 19th century by Weston A. Price, the American Dental Association's first president, I think he was, who made it his mission to go around the world, looking at populations and what they ate and how their teeth were. And it was always, the third world, Amazonian pygmies and the African, tribes that had perfect teeth, and there wasn't a dentist for 1,000 miles around. It was really quite eye-opening.
Guys,
well, I also have conflict. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
No, I was just getting ready to switch gears a little bit. You go ahead and finish.
On the milk, yeah, I have conflictions about that whole thing myself. I grew up in the country, and we had cows, and I had fresh milk, fresh butter, fresh cream, fresh all of it. And I guess at about age 8, I had my first taste of store-bought milk and almost puked. It was like, what is this? This is not milk, So it took me a long time to even be able to drink store-bought milk, period. And then over time, as we left that kind of culture, and that's all there was, because the farm was long gone at that point. It just got to the point where I always loved milk, so I kept drinking it. And I had a friend whose uncle had some health problems, and he apparently, from what the doctors told him, during surgery, I believe, for his heart, he died on the operating table because his carotid arteries were so clogged with plaque because of his milk intake. I was also told by my biology professor in college, where I was taking biological chemistry, that that basically what you were saying there, Adam. We are not cows. Cow milk is designed to make a fat calf. That's what it is made by the cow for. So us consuming it is ludicrous, is madness. And he was one of the first people I ever knew about drinking rice milk, way back, and this was like the 90s. So as all these milk substitutes have come out over the years, I've tried them all. There's a few I like. I actually found some rice milk I enjoy. There's a few almond milks out there, but it's really hard. Like you say, on the one hand, you see the people that have super amazing health from it, and then you see other people who just react horribly to it and die from it. So is that a body thing? Is it just a overall bad living thing? I mean, what do you think would have... There's obviously two sides of the coin here, obviously.
Oh, definitely.
That's what I allude to. That's what I said with the two sides of the tribesmen that live solely on it. And I think the reality is we don't know. But like I say, I think if we all lived on human milk, there wouldn't be those issues.
Yeah, there you go. That would be a whole different society, though, for sure.
It is more calorific cow's milk, which is why we moved to it. Do you know what I mean? It's there's one thing I want to mention.
Sorry, when things like this come up, it's due to lack of knowledge. We haven't tested it. We haven't done scientific lab tests on this. I'm sure the information is there, but whether it's available to us or not, I don't know. But this is a perfect example of something that needs actual funding instead of looking at gay shrimp in the Pacific Rim or whatever it is. This is actually something that could really do with some funding. The same as vitamin D3 and vitamin C treatments and all
it's something we're taught at school, John, isn't it? It's something we're taught at school. It's a bit like the ball earth. It comes in at a very early age. We're taught that milk needs to be pasteurized, otherwise you will shit yourself and die.
Well, don't you remember in the 80s when Thatcher came in and she was held on a pedestal because she gave us the milk, though, didn't she? Or did she take it away? We used to
She
get
she
a quarter pint
took
of
it
milk
away.
every
Margaret
morning.
Thatcher, the milk snatcher, mate.
Right.
Adam.
Well, there you go. Well, that's a pretty good place to start.
Now, the point I'm alluding to there is that in terms, we are taught at a young age that the pasteurisation of milk is crucial. Otherwise, we can't drink it. Otherwise, we will have serious bad health. What I would suggest is the pasteurisation of milk is what is digestively really important for us. All you see in supermarkets is digestivus, bifidus, all these stupid made-up bacteria that they're selling in yogurts and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Actually, what are they replacing? They're replacing the things that the pasteurization process eradicates.
Well,
as well as possibly, and this is the conspiracy point, as well as possibly during that process breaking down some of the healthy fats into unhealthy fats.
Well, that's exactly it. They're replacing nature with synthetics again, which is what they've done with everything. That's their modus operandi. So it makes me think that although milk may not be natural for us, or may not, but then again, you know what? Why does
John?
Yeah. Go
John,
for it.
Why do they give every child at school? It's part of every kid's school day. Their milk.
That's what I was wondering, and I'm wondering, you know, obviously today they give them pasteurized, homogenized milk, which, as far as I'm concerned, is liquid cheese, and is no good for your body. But I wonder back in the 70s, 80s and stuff, whether I remember, you know, when we used to get it delivered in glass bottles with a little tin lid on it, and by the time you'd got to it, the birds had already got the cream off the top. Now, you know, in a semi-skimmed, plastic-contained, homogenized, pasteurized supermarket milk, you're never going to find a bit of fat on the top of it.
You know, one of the guys on, I don't know if you know Daz Chosen One on Twitter, he's mentioned a few times.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Keep meaning to look into it. He said they're adding fluoride to the children's milk.
We can hear you, Ryan.
Yeah, I've seen that in Australia, Karen. And drinking water as well, baby water with added fluoride. Yeah, makes me sick.
Yeah, so it makes you wonder if milk is good for you. Needs reassessing, I think, the milk thing.
Well, one thing that, I mean, you know, since you kind of hinted at a conspiracy and we touch all bases here on the Iron Realm, one thing that I've wondered about is the whole fact that we have pushed ourselves into that realm of consuming a milk product that is coming from a cattle and in consuming their flesh. And, you know, if you go back to whatever you want to call it, you know, consuming something, you gain its essence, if you will. So maybe that is also part of the conspiracy, is feeding us cattle products turns us into sheep-like cattle. Just throwing a little crazy on the fire for you all.
Weird things I'd heard once before was somebody saying that you need to eat meat to get big and strong, right? You got to eat beef. Don't you want to be strong like that bull? And the response was, well, what did the bull eat to get big and strong like that? Which, of course, is
very
just...
nice. Yes, sir.
Right.
Very good.
It's funny how the medical, a little experience that I had, I love this word, I had diverticulitis.
Ooh, what's that?
Ooh, look it up. It's where the intestine gets pockets.
It's inflammation of the diverticulum, to be.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, but you get build-ups, don't you, around the blood vessels or the veins or something, because your body's not digesting what is going through.
You're talking piles?
No, it's much higher up.
In the intestine, it's in the
lower
way
intestine.
out. And,
right.
Yeah, that's the one. But my body, literally, I had no choice. I fought it. My body rejected meat. I ate bacon sandwich for a year trying to still eat meat. I was brought up to eat meat. And it just happened, and I couldn't fight it anymore. I had to give up and just, like I said, eat leaves. And ever since then, I've had no issues, no problems. But all the doctors that I've seen, all the professionals, all the specialists, I was going through it, cameras everywhere. They were all telling me how our body does not digest meat.
Yeah.
So,
has anyone watched that video by Eric DeBay about "Don't Eat Your Friends"?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't yet, but I'm going to now.
No, I haven't yet.
I'm as reluctant to watch that as I am, for being a lifelong smoker, about researching smoking, tobacco and alcohol and this sort of thing. But I was very glad I researched tobacco anyway. I haven't quite got to the point of researching alcohol, but yeah, I'm certainly nowhere near not stopping eating my friends yet. Sorry, Eric, but in time.
I would say, I know it's wrong, but I can't stop yet.
Especially
I can't. I know it's wrong, and I know what Karen's saying is both. I always talk to Christians and say, would Jesus eat meat? Do you know what I mean? It's a philosophical point I've pondered, Would Jesus, when he talks about the lamb, would he be chewing on that horse ever? And I genuinely think, and I think if you look at other cultures, true spiritual enlightenment requires no ingestion of animals in of itself. Do you know what I mean? It's purely vegetarian.
Yeah.
Well, we have a friend in the chat with us there, SPS, who probably could talk to that topic at great lengths. I'm not sure if he's available to pop in, but he has enlightened us over the years on that very topic. If you want to go with that biblical way of looking at what we were told to eat and not to eat, and allowed to eat and not to eat, it's quite interesting, and it kind of gets into the whole area of.
Well, if you go to that, Walt, what did God give us at the beginning? Not what did we do afterwards, after the fall. Even what did God give us to eat when we were perfect?
Yeah,
it was not tucked into a kebab.
Oh, well, it looks like we were joined by a friend here in the chat already in the room with us. It looks like Ryan's there with us.
We do. Ryan is here with some breaking news. Ryan contacted, he actually called the flatline and contacted us and left us a message. So I'm really interested to hear what this news is. Cool. Ryan said he found stuff on the internet today, and he was really anxious to get a hold of us and let us know. So hopefully Ryan's still there. I see he's muted. So hopefully he's still around and can come let us know. There he is. Awesome. Hey, what's going on, Ryan? You are not muted, but I do not hear you.
There he is.
There he is.
All right. I've been following this guy. He puts out some really, really good videos on YouTube, and he calls himself Ephesians 6:12. I don't know if you guys have seen any of his videos or not, but he just came out with one that's brand new today. And I think that when you guys get a chance after you're done with talking with each other tonight, get on the internet and look it up. The title of it is Best Flat Earth Proof of God, and then the date is today for that video. And in the video, he starts out talking about different things about flat Earth and all that. But then what really blew me away was when he starts talking about this photographer who he's either got a book or he's posting stuff on the internet. He starts talking about this this photographer from another country who recently, I don't know if it was, just this last week or just this year or whatever, but recently this photographer broke a world record. Now get this. because when he told me this, and like I said when I first met you guys, I was a diehard, amateur astronomer. My hobby was always astronomy. 15 years ago, if you'd told me, "Oh, the Earth is flat," I'd have told you you're a maniac. But now I've seen too much that I can't deny. But anyway, this photographer, he intentionally sets out to figure out where he can take pictures of things like mountains and other sites on days when the weather is so perfect that he can take pictures of these particular areas from great distance away. And I guess he's been trying to break a world record. Well, I the exact mountain range, but it's either Mount Everest or the Himalayas. And the picture, and they.
Uh-oh.
Well, it looks like we lost Ryan.
This is actually. Do you guys remember last week I was talking about a picture? Yeah, this is the one.
And basically what he goes on to say is, this is farther away than the ISIS. This is farther away than the International Space Station, that a guy got a picture of this mountaintop. Now tell me, how can you say that the Earth is not flat when someone can get a picture of the summit of any mountain range on the Earth from over 400 miles away? I mean, that's completely impossible. If the Earth were round, that would be completely impossible.
No, you're right. There's no possible way. I mean, that's a pretty incredible distance. Further away than the ISS, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's how far away he got the picture of the summit of this mountain was. And this guy has broken a world record, and he's actually being recognized for it. But the thing is nobody can see what's right in front of them unless it's somebody like you or me. You know what I mean? People aren't seeing this guy because this is not what the guy is setting out to do. He's not being he's not being noticed for, proving the Earth is flat. And then, of course, people that are reading about him and reading his article, and, people that are seeing this picture that this guy has taken, they're not saying, "Oh, well, he's proved the Earth is flat," because that's not what people are looking for when they're reading the article, and that's not what this guy is setting out to do. But somebody like you and me would look at it and go, "Well, what the heck? How the hell did he do that unless the Earth is flat?" But anyway, when I saw that, I was just like, holy cow. I was like, this, right now I'm riding through Iowa, and it's a perfectly clear day, and I could probably see about 20 or 30 miles out easily, But matter of fact, I even recently found a site when I'm going 63 south towards Jefferson City. There's a really flat area where at night I found that on a really clear night you can see the skyline of Jefferson City clear as day, and I'm pretty sure I got to find out what the height is of the Capitol there. But I'm pretty sure that if the Earth is curved off, that you should not be able to see that. But anyway, besides that, I mean, come on. But anyway, you gotta look this guy up. He calls himself Ephesians 6:12, and the new video is
we're showing that
best proof of flat Earth, or best. I want to say it's flat Earth best proof of God is what it's called. But anyway, I was just blown away when he started talking about the distance that this guy took the picture, and comparing it to how far away the ISS is and all that, or the ISIS, whatever the heck it is. But if you can find it, see see it for yourself because there's a lot of stuff in there. But this guy, this particular guy, he just continues to blow me away over and over and over and over. And this one kind of took the cake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's unreal.
Crazy.
Yeah, I'm watching the video now. I'm playing.
Showing it. It's pretty insane.
But when I saw that, and it just about took my breath away because I was just like, you got to be kidding. You know, almost 500 miles, this guy could see the top of this mountain. I mean, that is undeniable evidence. How could you say that doesn't prove something?
Oh, I'm sure there's somebody out there that's going to say it proves the ball or it doesn't prove anything.
Yeah, some negative people probably would.
Oh, like those orcs from...
Those old orcs, yeah.
Orcs, yeah.
Well, that was awesome stuff, Ryan. I mean, yeah, I had not seen that. I know James said he was talking about it the other night, but I must have missed it, and I have not seen it. That's pretty amazing, that distance. I think that's the farthest... I mean, that's got to be the farthest vision we've seen, limits of vision we've seen yet. That's crazy.
It reminds me of what we were talking about last week or the week before, of the lines of sight, the website beyondhorizons.eu, where there are a bunch of ball earthers that they're trying to get the world record for photographing something that's furthest away. I wonder if what was just being discussed is
one and the same. That's what I was actually talking about with you last week, John. Yeah, same thing actually.
I just put the link in the media and links room.
See, it's a small flat world after all.
See that, Josh?
I'm headed over there.
Awesome. So, Karen, are you feeling better? Well, just to switch gears here, how are you feeling this week?
I'm feeling much better, thanks. Still got a lingering cough, but I'm hoping to get some of John's silver inside of me soon.
Did you ever have a chance to try the golden milk recipe?
Do you know what? I didn't, and I just felt really awful then because I haven't tried it, and I should.
It is pretty awesome when you have the chest and head thing going on. It just helps you get it out. It helps you breathe. It helps soothe all the inflammation. It's pretty amazing stuff.
What is the golden milk recipe?
Offhand, it's basically maybe a cup of milk and maybe a teaspoon of turmeric, but I am not 100% sure. We give golden milk. There's a bunch of recipes online. Golden milk, it's Ayurvedic medicine. It's been around for thousands of years. They literally give it to the kids in India as a treat. They want it. It's so tasty. I enjoyed it. It's almost like drinking warm eggnog. Once it's made, it's really soothing. And you can add some extra oomph in your own recipes, a little ginger here, a little nutmeg there, a little cinnamon always in mine, honey for taste, and you just kind of make a warm milk, let it steam, strain out any if you want absence. Yeah, now you're making a recipe.
Karen, do you smoke?
I do. Yes, I do.
Shame.
Okay.
How are the chemtrails there over this last little time there where you live?
In the UK?
Karen? Yeah.
Dreadful.
I was afraid. It seems to be the case that every time I see excessive skies filled with silver, the rains come, everybody's sick. Everybody down there.
We're expecting more this weekend, aren't we, John? Down this end? I believe, so they say.
Old chem cough.
Yes, good old chem flu. Gotta love it.
Comes and goes in waves. I see it sort of, you can see it 2 or 3 days they lay up, but then they come back with a vengeance.
Have you noticed the new one, the new trail they're laying, where it's a long trail for a little while, like you see that used to linger and then spread out and get hit with the heart waves, but now instead of doing that, it's the long trail, and these huge like droplets, almost a cloud goo, just starts falling out like in segmented sections. It's almost like watching paint run.
Josh, or
the trail. I have it on the video. Actually,
I gotta interrupt you because I want you to play your video, man. On
yeah, man. I just thought
we should do that right now.
Show some stuff. I sent the link to you there, Josh, somewhere to my
in the show links.
Crazy skies here over the last. This is probably the last 2 months of stuff, which kind of just came to a head a few weeks back in one of the craziest hailstorms I've ever been in, and I've been in a few. It just went on and on and on and on, and then damaged so much here in town. Knocked tree limbs everywhere. The streets looked like it was filled with snowdrifts from all the leaves that got knocked down all over town. It was crazy. And I'll just, and they were all green, so it stayed that way for days. Like it was just the whole town looked foreign for a few days.
Did you ever figure out where you dropped that?
Into the link room, I believe.
Working like a charm.
It's always a smooth show at the realm.
Oh, I was looking for it after John's line of sight post.
Oh, yeah, it's back a few, actually, probably. It's actually probably a few back. Yep, it's right above it. A few back.
We lost Adam.
Looks like we did. Uh-oh.
Good stuff.
I love the sky. Lovely skies above here. You saw the lovely little Chem Dog trail. I mean, the Chem Dog around the sun. The lovely mucky sky. That little ending part where the sun was passing like through that little cloud area was kind of crazy as well.
Was that your footage, Walt?
Yeah, that's all mine. All of it. I stayed with the sky. I mean, with the camera pointed at the sky.
So here's a nerd.
Yeah.
Those are some pretty slick transitions in there. Was that all Magisto?
Oh yeah, I do a lot of little things here going along, doing my trickery.
Those are some badass transitions.
Adam says he can't get in.
Yeah, because we blocked him.
Okay.
Jamming that dude.
Ejected for being unruly.
I mean, the links should all work. Ryan got in. There's no reason Adam shouldn't.
Where did Ryan go?
Where did Ryan go? He's probably busy driving. Said he was on his way to Iowa or something like that. So, James, you're another one that put out a video this week, aren't you?
I did. I put one out every Thursday, and this week, I mean, I can't believe the original didn't break 1 million views yet, but I got to say, ODD TV, to me, right now, is the king of Flat Earth. He's got really good production. He's got great information. He's just opened up a 24-hour channel. I mean, the guy has a lot going for him. And this is something that I wanted to call attention to. It was something he did a year ago. And it is based on his Flatten 5 series. Really simple, down-to-earth proofs that, honestly, I couldn't think of a better introduction, to be honest. So,
are we going to play it?
I've got it pulled up, queued up, ready to go.
We absolutely could, and
Okay.
I think we should.
Go for it. Nice one, James.
Well, that's not the right freaking...
I thought you were talking about the gyroscope one that I put out on Iron Realm Media. I mean, that was a phenomenal explanation that Antonio had done on your experiment as well. Jeez, just top billing, that one.
Brilliant. I had loads of people coming back to me saying, now I understand it. Now I get what you're talking about. Because he made the video, I couldn't, but... Yeah, not the Epiphanies one, Josh. As you know, I'm sure.
It's interesting to sort of see this all evolve, hey, and kind of get refined. I mean, I'm not going to mention names, but I've always thought without some of the buggy ballers and naysayers and, you know, critics, they do give us a lot of ammunition to sort of refine our techniques and our methods, whether it's dry asking to, you know, make sure the batteries are this and take out this and whatever. There's 100 of those characters, and ultimately I think they do serve a purpose. So thanks to all you buggy ballers out there.
Yep, I've got no problem with constructive criticism, without a doubt. It's just when it becomes, you know, beyond constructive and, you know.
And for everybody in the comments on James's video, we voted. So just because you weren't included in the vote doesn't mean it didn't get voted on.
Exactly. Been wanting to say that for a long time. Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome. So without much further ado, here we are.
Water, when unmanipulated, is to find its level. So whether you look at a cup of water, a bathtub, a swimming pool, a lake, or the ocean, it's flat. Of course, natural motion is not considered and doesn't equal a curve. We have 0 authentic pictures of the Earth, and they're all composites, and NASA even admits that they Photoshop Earth images.
It is Photoshop, but it has to be.
On numerous occasions, NASA admits that we can't go beyond low Earth orbit, which is between 99 miles and 1,200 miles away. The interesting thing is that the moon is said to be 238,000 miles away, which is a difference of 236,800 miles. No matter if you're on the ground, on top of a building, a mountain, a hot air balloon, an airplane, or looking at high-altitude amateur balloon footage, the horizon never fails to rise right to your eyes. Whether you are looking at Toronto's skyline from Niagara on the lake, 31 miles away, Chicago's skyline from Union Pier, 43 miles away, or even Oahu from Kauai, which is up to 108 miles away from center to center, or 73 miles away from the closest points. You will not see any curvature where it's supposed to be. According to the Pythagorean theorem, which states that the curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared, Oahu should not be visible whatsoever, but you can see the whole thing. In 1887, Albert Michelson and Edward Morley conducted what's known as the Michelson-Morley experiment. This experiment was attempting to prove the speculated motion of the Earth around the Sun, and when it failed, Albert Einstein was forced to form the theory of relativity to overcome this problem. In fact, anytime mainstream science is faced with undesirable results, they create a workaround, which isn't real science at all. The Sun is claimed to be 93 million miles away, with a radius of over 400,000 miles, but can easily be proven to be much closer and smaller by tracing the crepuscular rays back to its origin in the sky. If the Sun were indeed 93 million miles away, it would simply be impossible to have angled sun rays, as they should all consistently come in straight. According to the globular theory, a lunar eclipse occurs when the Sun, Earth, and Moon are in a direct line. But it is on record that since about the 15th century, over 50 eclipses have occurred while both the Sun and Moon are visible above the horizon. F.H. Cook, The Terrestrial Plane. It's a common misconception that the shadow of the Earth causes moon phases. Even the pastors and priests of the science religion readily admit this fact. The interesting thing about moon phases is that they are always the exact same 8 phases repeated. But if we were circling around the Sun, these 8 phases would inevitably be reversed from the summer to winter seasons. I completely understand that the idea of a flattened stationary Earth seems ridiculous in many ways, but that's only because we are taught the false globe model from the very first time that we enter a school classroom. Not to mention the first time we are introduced to the concept of a flat Earth, it's depicted as a highly laughable world where ships, boats, and water would run off of the edge. So I do get it, but it's all part of the deception. I've spent 30 years of my life believing that we were on a spinning globe. It wasn't until I unbiasedly and scientifically investigated the flat Earth claims that I started to realize that there is more to this theory than I originally gave it credit for. Now, after almost 2 years of research, I'm certain that the Earth is flat. We are told that the Earth spins at 1,040 miles per hour, while the Earth travels around the Sun at 66,000 miles per hour. Meanwhile, the whole solar system is going inside the Milky Way galaxy at a speed of 490,000 miles per hour. And finally, the entire Milky Way galaxy is darting through infinite space at over 1 million miles per hour. Most people believe this, and yet every experiment ever conducted to prove even the simple spin of the Earth has failed. The same thing goes for curvature. It's never been proven, and the only time we see it is in movies, NASA CGI, or when we're looking through a distorted fisheye lens. With all that said, please continue to research critically and don't be afraid to ask reasonable questions and speak out.
That's brilliant. What a cracking video.
So, you guys, any of you guys get the chance to look at that one I was telling you about? Sorry, I lost you there for a while. I'm out in the middle of nowhere.
We did. We were actually able to play it, most of it anyway, while you were still on with us, actually. So we were able to look at some of his shots and at least look at some of the documentation that he had. We'll have to dive into it a little more deeply this week and see what's what exactly. But that was surely interesting. I mean, that's, again, a bit mind-boggling.
Right, everyone turn the mute off. Come on.
I'm
No
back.
freeloading here.
I'm making sure I wasn't here alone.
Nope, we're here with all of us. Looks like Adam was able to get back in with us. For some reason, we can't get Alba in, though. They're struggling with audio or something's going on. So,
cool.
Sorry about that. Not sure. I just got booted and had to get back in myself, so apparently Google is sensing something in the force.
So,
What
Adam, what else did you have? You didn't.
Oh, what did I have in my top 10? I don't know. It's probably worth a mention.
Well, hold on. Yeah, that's worth mentioning, that film, to be honest. I mean, I think I'd take away the best thing about that film. You know, there is no measurable curve and there is no spin. So how on earth can you claim to live on a ball that is spinning? That's as simple as it gets, really.
And that is as simple as it gets. And pretty much anything they come up that will prove the motion or prove the curve is really just going to be, again, that conditioning, that programming that made them believe it was there in the first place.
Yeah. Cracking video, though. Nice one, James. What did you like about it, James?
I just like how it's the minds that corrupt and confuse, and the best proofs are the simplest, and this video nails it.
Yeah.
There's the 5 categories. Here's the analogy and the concise description of it. Now go and do some work and be amazed. That's what I got out of it.
Have you got those 5 categories written down? Or because I didn't write them down through there. But...
You don't have to write them down, though. If I were to just ask you, like I will right now, what's your number 1 proof, John?
Well, my number 1 proof is that I can't find a spin or a curve.
Okay, so that's...
And the water finds its level.
Okay, that's 3, and that's great. You've hit 2 of them already. Spin, curvature.
The moon's phases would reverse every 6 months.
Yes,
obviously.
Yeah.
I wonder why it is that when I play the game Jenga, which is where you pull the sticks out of the tower of blocks, I wonder why that tower of blocks doesn't wobble all over the damn place, you know, being the fact that we're shooting through space at the speed of light, meanwhile spinning and flipping around a star at the same time. You know, I just can't quite figure out. Yeah.
It's all relative, mate. That was my best Rob impression. Rob, buddy, that was for you.
Gravity. Yeah. Rubbish as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's starting to get weaker, I think, though. There's been a lot of momentum. We always talk about what's negative, and, you know, there's been some more false flag nonsense and American propaganda and worldwide elite agendas being pushed. It's kind of second nature and really a distraction to the main cause. At least that's what we at the Realm feel like. I know I've got support on that one, John.
Yeah, we probably don't need to delve into it too much, but Adam, since you're near Manchester, what do you gather from that malarkey?
I think if you're trying to gather information to understand what's gone off, you're a fool. Particularly right now, you're really not going to know what's going off. There's so much smoke
the mirrors going off. That's the only thing that I think everybody's alluding to is that even watch the news and believe the news. I heard a person today saying the same old story. And I think that's the only thing you can hang on to try and put an exact description of what's gone off, who's done what. I think it's
impossible. It's literally impossible to do with any accuracy. I mean, you can see the generalities and the themes, but it's a big it's a waste of time. It's a sideshow.
But there are some similarities we can draw between those and other known or at least alleged false flag attacks, as in, it was a lone attack and then turned into many attacks. You've got the announcement over the tannoy within the arena that's just like, be calm, it's okay, everything's fine, hope you had a good night, and all this sort of stuff over the tannoy. You got firemen complaining that they couldn't get to the injured for 90 minutes. Hold on.
90.
And you've got a police drill going on around the arena at the same time, on the same day. They're tweeting out things saying that there's going to be a controlled explosion. Don't worry about it. So you've got drills on the same day. I mean, there's.
Where have we heard that before?
Guys, there's one thing I've chatted with a lot of people, and there's just one statement I'd like to make, and that's to those that think it's a false flag or those that think suggest such a thing is absolutely vile and abhorrent and disrespectful to the dead, and that's that those that do discuss a situation when they use the term false flag, it does not in any way suggest that nobody died, no innocents lost their lives. These people that do these things, in my opinion, are scum. They'll send soldiers to their deaths, they'll experiment on us, they'll do all sorts of things, they'll poison our water. For one thing, I don't think is they would have any conscience of blowing somebody up. The only thing I would suggest I have any doubt of is whether there was anybody in the vest that blew up. My only doubt.
I think that's a fantastic point to make, because unfortunately that is part of how they make it so real. You always add a little real with the fake.
Hey, do you guys mind if I ask you a question?
Go ahead, Ron.
I did a lot of research when I was in college. I have a couple of friends that are doctors, and they started out going to medical school, and then after they went to medical school, they decided they did not want to be the typical type of medical doctors that you see most common today, because they felt that all they were really getting into is a field where they'd be pushing pharmaceuticals on people all the time. So they decided to become natural, or also known as holistic medicine doctors instead. And while I was in college, I had some really big research papers that I had to do, and they kind of inspired me to do a lot of my research papers on alternative medicine and pharmaceuticals and the pros and cons of the two, and things like that. And when I did that, I ended up opening up a Pandora's box, and I found out things that really at the time really pissed me off, you know.
Okay.
But one of the things that I found talked about the difference between the water here in America and the water in other countries. Now, my question is that I'm trying to get down to is this: is it true that in most European countries, like Britain and France, places like that, they absolutely refuse to let the government put fluoride in the water, unlike in America here, where people just tend to just say, oh, what the hell, the government knows what they're doing. it's okay if they put fluoride in the water. Is that true that there's a difference, or do they still put fluoride in the water over there?
About 10% of the UK has fluoride added to the water. Well, I say fluoride, it's the, what's it called, the fluoroacetic acid or whatever it is. It's a byproduct of some industrial process. Yeah, I wouldn't say that we outright refuse to do anything. We just don't have, say 90% of the UK doesn't have a government or a council that are pushing for it. It's not that we're refusing it, because they're trying every single week. They're trying to get it into some county or suburb or wherever. So yeah.
And I know there's populations, especially here. Well, I know Missouri, so I can speak for the St. Louis metro area. There's probably 10 to 15% of the municipalities that have taken the fluoride out of their water. So things like the difference between O'Fallon city water versus St. Charles County city water, that fluoride is going to make the big difference. And it's just going to be a matter of a block away. One house will have fluoride, their neighbor won't. It's just that hit and miss.
Wow.
Yeah.
You would think it would be more controlled than that, but scary regardless.
Yeah, if anybody's interested, check out a couple of our past episodes. We've had Justin Harvey on from We Are Change Orlando.
Excellent show.
He's gone in front of the city council and made presentations trying to get fluoride out of his city water. So you can even find all these different presentations that he's made against fluoride. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Essentially, he was saying that it is a drug, and we are being forced a drug without a choice. It's very fascinating stuff. Check it out for sure.
So we've got about 4 minutes before we hit our 3-hour mark. So that'd be about an hour and a half per segment before we hit the fringe. So I think we should be able to.
You guys ready to fringe out?
4
Sounds
minutes.
about right to me, brothers.
And we'll just jump right into the fringe for hour number 4.
And definitely we will field any questions. As I said earlier, you guys might have thoughts, feelings on what we learned last week when we aired our interview with John Brahma with his information about Journey to Edge and that whole, just the whole thing, just the many ramifications therein.
And of course, any questions for our female panelist, Karen, just to make sure she has to stick around for the next couple of hours.
I'm still here. I actually, when you were saying about the Manchester situation, I don't know if anybody heard of how publicised it was that Bristol and Bath had hoax evacuations, or evacuations that ended up in hoax, and it was main places like Bristol
that was the
Hospital.
next day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and somebody's apparently
Westfield.
in court now. Yeah, and he didn't even include somewhere like, I don't know, some Hollywood, Weymouth or somewhere, I don't know, some holiday seaside town.
Really?
All these
Did you say he was in court?
I can't wait to see what Rob finds out too, Karen, about it, because one of the other things that stinks about it is there was apparently a bum, like a street bum, who rescued a bunch of children. And he looks like a street bum, but he sure acts like a special ops guy. I bet my life it isn't a bum. It's somebody trained in like military, pretending to be a street bum.
Yeah, it is fair. I think it's fair to keep us all indoors, not wanting to go to these public places. It's very clever. Drip feed it in. Nobody's going to want to go. People are going to doubt going to hospital is a safe place now. And not that it was safe anyway. Sorry.
Sorry, Ryan, we missed that. What was that?
He must be in a bad zone.
Yeah, he just
dropped off.
It's
all right.
Time for the fringe.
Yeah, I think that'll be great. We'll just take another quick little break. I've got like a 4-minute song we can play through that'll lead us up into the break, into the fringe. But yeah, that being said, there's little else for us to discuss here. Guys, as the great Greg Carlwood says, pack your glass and park your ass. Time for the fringe is near. So stay tuned. Here's a little tune by Plane Sessions Volume 1 from the album The World is Flat. This is called Hidden on the Plane. Anyway, it's Friday, Flat Earth Friday. Welcome to the fringe.
Yeah, that was quality, mate.
We are Iron Realm Media. My name is Josh Corey. The show has ended, and we are back to cut loose and have a little fun. I see everybody's properly muted, making me talk and carry everything, so that's really swell.
You muted me.
That weren't me. That was probably James. James was quick on the mute.
Oh,
So
we got more than one person who can control the wielding the mute machine.
I quite enjoyed that tune, Josh. I thought it was all right. It reminded me of getting back from a club early on, before you really chill out. Just I thought it was all right, that tune.
Yeah, I never was a big fan of the EDM house music.
Mid-90s it reminds me of.
So, Adam, were you one of these people that went off to raves every weekend?
Not every weekend, but yeah, I used to enjoy a good night dancing. Yeah.
We have a friend joining us. You're on the Fringe. You should be here shortly. I'm excited. We don't get to talk really enough.
Who we got?
Me as well, Adam. I went to many a party in my day in the early 90s, 93 to 99, 2000 maybe.
See, I was a pub goer. All my friends were ravers, but so they'd disappear off to a rave somewhere where they had to drive for miles and walk for miles and then get some sort of message from someone in a pub that it was over in a field somewhere. Yeah, I was.
We used to get a phone message, and a bus used to pick us up from a unknown location, take us there. But I tell you, you know what, Adam, you can totally relate to this. The love and the feeling of being involved in that community in those days and being free and that sense of, true basic humanity. It's the same feeling I get with flat earthers. We just need to get the soundtrack rocking, brother.
I was gonna say we did big dues. We used to have a thing called Fat Tuesdays, which was a play on Mardi Gras. So that's why I pondered at weekends, because it weren't weekends, it was Tuesday nights. I was always late for lectures on a Wednesday, if I ever made it. But that was the thing, James. The love in that room. There was people, looking at each other, seeing how long you've been dancing for, and somebody you'd never met, offer them a drink of water, make sure they were okay, and for no reason other than genuine concern that night. You'd never see them again, but whilst they were there, is being in front of you care for them.
Blair, I went for lots of years. Never ever saw any violence. Most shocking stuff I would see at the party would be someone collapsing over an overdose or not getting enough water or some overcrowding. But I mean, talk about the humanity and like the community. Bravo, at least where I was.
How much of that was drug induced, though?
All of it.
I don't know.
I think if you put
a lot of
2,000 people in a field, even with a beat, are they going to love each other?
No, not 2,000 of them. Maybe,
or even 50,000. 1,000.
Maybe 150, but there'll be fights.
Yeah, I mean, how much of that was love induced, drug induced?
Well, I can tell you that. Well, like I said, over 8 years there was no major incidents. You can't say that about other stuff like alcohol and whatever else. Concerts,
not comparing it to alcohol, but comparing it to flat Earth. I think flat Earth is not drug induced. I think the rave scene of the late 80s and 90s
do you think
was
that,
well drug induced.
Are you saying that you need those types of drugs to lower your senses and kind of come together and forget stuff?
No,
to get to the part where the respect is, because they respect each other the same. At least I remember it.
I'm saying one's drug induced and one is sort of moral life experience and reality induced.
I kind of chalk it up to the hippies in the 60s and the experiences of that. Is that kind of the same, Adam? The rave community in our time to the hippie community?
Say it was complete opposite. The hippie community was all about free love. If I'm being honest, I used to enjoy going out like John did as
having a beer and this, that, and the other, and trying to get my end away. And and the aim of the evening was to either be sick or pull. And I then remember joining the club kind of dance scene, and it was very, very different. Do you know what I mean? And you were actually engaging with women, and you'd look downstairs, and there was no action. Nothing was happening either way. There was none of those thoughts that would stimulate an erection, and there was a lot of those standard desires you have at a club event when you're alcohol induced. The desires aren't even there, or the thoughts aren't even there. It was a very different vibe in the place, and it was more.
I think what I'm suggesting is that, if you add a narcotic, a hardcore hallucinogenic and a massive beat, I mean, no one can talk to anyone in a club. You can only use sign language and that sort of thing. So you've got a massive beat, you've got a drug-induced. I'm just thinking.
You have never been to. You haven't been to a party. You don't know the trick with the ear.
With the ear.
Yeah, you put your thumb in one ear and then you listen with the other, and it works. It's the old rave trick.
My problem was when I went to clubs and raves and things like this, is that the beat sent me to sleep. So you'd find me asleep at the bottom of the biggest fucking woofer out there, and that's what happened to me. Basically, it sent me to sleep.
I used to get on a podium, baby. I used to just love it.
at some of the clubs I would do.
So this fellowship with hallucinogenic drugs and a heavy beat, if you were to combine that and put that in a place whose room was specifically designed with acoustics in mind, couldn't this just be sort of the early church?
I think you're reading on my hymn sheet, mate.
Any old dancing about a fire with some type of hallucinogen, ayahuasca, psilocybin, drums beating, altered states of consciousness being achieved?
There's nothing new under this sun.
No, sir. Not at all.
When people are, I mean, that's why they got the lasers and all that sort of thing. So it's like a light source, a light, it's along with the beat, which could be the drums or the humming or whatever was used a couple of millennium ago, as well as the hallucinogenic drugs, which could be the ayahuasca or the mushrooms or whatever was used a millennium ago. It's nothing new as far as I can see.
You don't have to just use drugs. There's a Islamic sect called the dervishes, who are get into a spiritual trance by, you might be able to look it up on internet. If you just type it in, just whirling dervishes, you'll see that these guys that just do a kind of spinning dance and get into a trance to achieve some form of spiritual enlightenment.
I think my point is that this is not. Sorry, Walt.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you talking, John. I apologize. Yeah, I'm saying there's breath work you can do that will actually achieve those states of consciousness.
Meditation, breath work.
Or in just sitting in meditation, right? Exactly.
Yeah. But I think what I'm highlighting here is that it shouldn't be compared to the flat Earth, because you don't need any drugs, you don't need a hypnotic base, you don't need any of these things. Yeah, we suddenly.
So there's no raves on flat Earth. Is that what the new video says?
No, well, we suddenly, that'd be a great title, wouldn't it? No raves on flat Earth. But no, suddenly we find ourselves thinking in a different way, and we're more compassionate to our fellow people around us, everything. We're filled with anger and bile and this sort of thing. You know, it's a very interesting sort of place to be, but
John,
I don't think it requires drugs or things. Sorry,
would
I'm
you
carrying on.
say it's worse or similar to the flowers in the flat Earth? Because there are definitely flowers on flat Earth. I can tell you that. We all can, attest to that.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Well,
so how does the flowers on flat Earth compare with the ecstasy in the Royal Rave scene back in the day?
I'm trying to draw a distinction between the rave scene and how everyone was sort of loved up and happy and compassionate towards each other. I'm trying to draw a distinction between that and what we call the flat Earth scene at the moment, in that you don't need a heavy beat, you don't need any drugs. It's just a realization, rather it's an organic realization rather than an induced state.
But what I'm saying is that there is the same kind of thing happening, because there is a fellowship around the flower in flat Earth. We see the same thing happening right now before our very eyes. I mean, it's something that is always, been a part of it, and I think it helps with the fellowship and the bonding in certain ways. And that's what I was kind of hoping to draw a parallel to.
I don't know what you mean by the flower.
I think I'm talking about the herb that God has given us, all herbs, the special flower, John.
Right. I've got you. Greenery, cabbage.
Cabbage. You gotta crawl before you walk, Josh.
Well, no, I know numerous people into flat Earth. They're in daily contact with me that have no knowledge of this whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
I believe one just joined us.
Someone's bubbling away.
First person shooter.
Rob, how are you, sir? Welcome back.
Yes, I'm back.
So, Rob, what do you think about cannabis?
Savage cabbage.
Right, Savage Cabbage. Oh my God. Trademark 2017. Mania.
So, Rob, did you need cannabis to realize the Earth is flat?
I don't do it. Never have done it.
No, but I've needed it a couple of times to be relaxed enough to get in a hangout with a bunch of people for the first time and discuss flat Earth and kind of get my senses down.
Never done it.
Shame on you, Rob. I think you should as soon as possible. But no, I know what you're saying, James.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not really interested. But I get drug tested all the time. I'm a truck driver. I work for a big company, and they drug test all the time.
I'm just saying it's not a prerequisite to realizing flat Earth or anything. And I maintain I still can't draw a parallel between the feeling that you get for other people and people around you and the world and everything through flat Earth that you would have got through
which doesn't, I believe it should be legal. Cannabis should be a legal substance to use, because alcohol is way worse. It causes way more domestic problems than cannabis ever will. But that's the law, and if I get caught doing that sort of stuff, I'll lose my job, lose my house.
Well, yeah, don't get me wrong there, James. I think cannabis absolutely helps in realizing that the Earth is flat. There's no two ways about that. It also helps in realizing your government's poisoning you and money is fake and the justice system is bullshit. And don't get me wrong in any way at all. Cannabis is an absolute key to the gateway, but it's not necessary. Don't do it.
Nah. So I've never needed it. I know the Earth's flat. I've never needed it.
Have you never been curious, Rob?
Not really. My mum was a smoker.
So
I had asthma. I had asthma because my mother smoked. So
you don't have to smoke it though, Rob.
No, but if it's the smoke going down my lungs.
Yeah, you can.
And I've drawn on a cigarette before.
No, yuck. You don't have to smoke it. No fire, no smoke involved.
You can vape it. No
I'll
fire.
be right, guys. I'll be right. There's no peer pressure here. I'll be right.
No peer pressure at all. I'm just worried about your sort of general angst.
There is no peer pressure on flat Earth.
Well, I can't have it, John, because I get drug tested all the time. I can't, even if I wanted to, I can't.
That fucking job again, eh?
That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
Properly motivated. Do they give you blood tests? Do they test it with your blood?
No, they test it. They test it through urine, and it can stay in your system for 3 to 6 months, from what I hear. And
that's horseshit.
We argued on our last EBA, which is an enterprise bargain agreement, that you only be they'll only test for if you're under the influence, which is a mouth swab, I think.
Under the influence of urine?
Of cannabis. Of cannabis.
But Rob, you understand though that if the police can't give you a roadside test for cannabis, then there is nothing that will stand up in the court of law to say, no employee or employer will be able to claim anything other than what the police can claim at the side of the road, and there's no way they can claim it. They can't claim you're under the influence of it. They can only claim you've had it in the last 30 days.
They don't care. They're our workplace and all the mining industries. They don't care. They will drug test you as you come in, and if they find cannabis, and cannabis can stay in your system for 3 months, if they find it, you are gone. You are gone.
They'd care if enough people who were being held under this cared and made enough of a deal about
it. See, I don't really bother because I don't do it. So, and I've never been really enticed to do it. I've never been bothered to do it. So
you can't be in you yourself. It's to say that you care means that you have a vested interest in it, i.e., I smoke weed. So you're actively.
I would like to see the cannabis laws get changed so people can do it. I would like to see that, and I would like. Yeah, I would. But as it stands, I still mightn't even do it then, John. I still mightn't do it.
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't do it.
That's entirely your choice.
Not interested. Yeah,
personally, I'd love to sit in a darkened basement. No, and I would never even try to peer pressure you into doing it.
It sounds like you
or
are.
anything else. Oh, me? No. I couldn't give a monkey.
I'm just going to call a guy about some flowers. Hang on a minute.
Aussies and their flowers.
Am I trying to peer pressure him into smoking?
I am.
Well, I said eat it for a start.
Right.
Not smoke it.
Wasn't that a Michael Jackson song?
Just eat it.
Eat it. That would be Weird Al. Thank you.
Weird Al.
Guys. Maybe I shouldn't have come back.
We can go off in any direction you guys would like to go. We don't have to stay.
We've got quite a full house here.
I'm enjoying myself quite a lot.
We actually have another visitor.
Oh,
FPS is
left.
Focal point services.
First person speaking. That's not really it.
I almost didn't recognize
you.
You were so.
That's right.
You were so upbeat on that video. I almost didn't recognize you. I had to really concentrate. I said, "Is that really? No, surely not."
I thumbs it down because the guy sounded a bit loopy, so I thumbs it down.
He sounded a little bit fruity, didn't he?
Hey, Rob, I would not smoke weed if Savage is definitely peer pressuring you into doing it, and so is Josh.
It sounded like that. It sounded like that, didn't it, mate? It sounded like they were giving it the big thumbs up for me to go.
It's taken me this long to work out your hack. Hello, hack. Long time no hear.
Savage.
How am I peer pressuring him into smoking if I'm telling him to eat it?
He's clearly scared of it.
Savage cabbage.
I know he is.
I'm not scared of anything. I'm scared of losing my job. That's what I'm scared of.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it either.
Australian though, eh? Won't to back out of something.
Who's your job to tell you what you can and can't consume?
How about you guys come down here barefoot and run through my bush and bloody see if you
already have?
That scares you.
Is that an old Aboriginal saying?
I'll feed a kangaroo.
Don't peer pressure, man. Let's you run through his bush.
Run through his bush. That's right.
I don't take my DMs off ever when I'm in Australia. I sleep in my DMs.
Rob, when I started smoking weed, it took me 6 times to feel it.
Because it takes dedication.
Yeah, I had to smoke it and keep smoking it until I got high. And then I started laughing. But I think that's an indication that there's a medicinal quality that you can just take it and not get high in very small doses over your life. And then you cross the threshold and you start getting high.
All I would like to say at this point is that I would love to get bombed with Rob for the first time. I would love to see Rob just turn that attitude dial down to 1. Fantastic.
He's Australian. Good luck with that.
No comment.
Yeah, but Rob, you should definitely look into creams, etc. CBD. Getting feedback there. The CBD is huge. You don't even have to do the THC. The CBD is non-psychoactive. We know that because there's no CBD receptors in the brain.
I've got nothing to say anymore. I'm out.
He tagged out.
But CBD will trigger a THC test, I think.
You guys love it? Keep talking. Whatever.
Hey, how about you tell us about the raw milk and the raw butter from the biblical thing from before hack? When Walt was actually alluding to, and Adam was saying biblically, what did God give us, and kind of fill us in on that aspect. That would be cool.
Yeah, let me grab my thing.
Grab your thing. I'm going to walk through Rob's bush. Welcome to the Fringe.
As soon as I said that, I went, that's not right.
It's too cheap. Far too cheap.
It's in Genesis where he begins to say that he gave us everything to eat, right? James, do you remember that verse?
I thought you were about to say it was in Genesis that someone was running through someone else's bush.
No, that was Abraham. That was way later. The burning bush. Some people think the burning bush is cannabis.
I do.
But it says in that verse in Genesis that he gave us everything to eat. He doesn't want us eating certain animals because they're further away in the food chain, like a pig and a goat. Like a goat chews its cud and a pig doesn't. They both have cloven hooves, but that seems to be the differentiation. As in their digestive tract or whatever the place that are in earth in that realm, like we have foods that are closer to us. We either eat the green grass or the animals that eat the green grass. And that's pretty simple because that's where all the fat-soluble vitamins are, A, D, E, and K. They come out.
Uh-oh. Hope we're not going to lose hack.
Those fat.
Sorry, you're breaking up a little. Either on your end or mine. I'm not sure which.
Can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you now. It was just doing the thing it does whenever you're on.
But the Jewish sacrifices, as however you want to see them, start the and you're supposed to put the fat up there so it sizzles and creates a great scent and aroma. And then, the Jews didn't just kill the animal and throw it up on the fire until it went away. They ate it. That was for them to eat. The sacrifice wasn't a exercise and a ritual. It was to feed themselves. They were sacrificing the first fruits. They put their first and their best up there and gave it to God and didn't eat it. But then they would continue to sacrifice and eat the rest of it. And the sacrifices always have to do with fat. There's never throw up just vegetables and burn vegetables. He's like, you kill an animal and burn its meat and its fat and let me get that smell going. And then the other hints are that the land is called the land of butter and honey, not milk and honey. It's butter and honey. And there's fats in the vegetables, which is where we get the fat-soluble vitamins. But of course, they're more biomagnified when you get them in an animal that's ate more. Biomagnification happens with poisons as well as it happens with nutrients.
So would I be right in thinking that you've got no problem with people not being vegetarian?
I have a problem with people being vegetarian.
Right.
But
okay.
Again,
So you're pro meat.
I mean, it's so hard to be a vegetarian in this day and age. I think that if we were all farmers, you may not know much of a difference. But nowadays, you're just not going to get the nutrients out of the plants that we think we're supposed to be getting. So if you see a vegetarian, they're marked. You can just see a vegetarian. You know what they look like. I don't even have to describe them. You're envisioning that person in your head already. They're pale, they're skinny, they're weak, they're tired, their immune system is low.
But there are some people out there that say that the Bible or whatever their scripture is that they're looking at says don't eat meat, and now you're saying it's perfectly fine. And what I've read. You're offering a live meat sacrifice, put it on the Noah or whatever had
barbecue.
Yeah, a big barbecue. Yeah, and let those succulent flavors flow up. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Finger looking good. So I'm slightly confused as to what.
Okay, the word meat in the Bible, the way it is now with the KJV. If Paul or anyone ever said specifically the word meat, he was just using an example of don't let food be an obstacle between a man and his God or his salvation. Like, don't tell him, oh, you can't be a vegetarian or you can't be a carnivorian only or whatever it is.
Right.
Because it's not applicable. That's when he would use the word meat, and it would say like if meat, but it's not. It doesn't mean meat. It means
is carnivorian even a word? I think you made that one up. Otherwise, great stuff so far.
I'll make up a couple before it's over.
You sure will, Mister.
I lost my place.
Well, meat being
meat. It's just the word. It's the way the KJV. If you thought that. When I see the word meat in the Bible that way, I see it as pre-programming for people to hate meat and to drink soy and to get away from butter and raw milk and raw butter and raw foods. The rawness of it is that it's living. It's a whole bacteria issue that's a whole separate thing that closes the deal. But the Bible also says, this is very important, this is all about freedom. And Jesus made all foods clean. It was prayer and thanksgiving, anything besides blood, you can eat it. He didn't put anything down here, there's no limitations, there's no restrictions. Everything is here. We can eat it all. You can eat pig, you can eat tree bark, you can eat blood.
Since you're here, I'd love to ask you this, because this is something been bothering me for a long time. Well, what the hell is, why is pig dirty or bad meat? Well, what's that all about?
Because you are what you eat. So crustaceans, the bottom feeding fish, the bottom feeding crustaceans, those
But it
what are they?
says like
Shrimp,
it says pigs.
all that
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, they eat the shit, so they are shit. So you don't want to then consume that shit.
Right. Basically, that's why I get pushed shrimp and lobster, the crustaceans, like you said, and pig.
Okay,
if you have a farm, you eat the Bible says you have goats for goat's milk and lambs for clothing. So that tells you that really it's not even supposed to be cow's milk. It's supposed to be goat's milk, which is in my store they sell raw goat's milk right next to the raw cow's milk, which is so hard to find, right? But if you're making butter and stuff out of goat's milk, you probably have a different experience. But also, shit, I forgot.
Well, being flippant, it makes me ask, why does bacon taste so good?
Oh, so bacon, the reason it's filthy is because if you have a farm and, it'll eat its own. If you have dead carcasses, you can feed a pig carcasses. The reason why pigs are everywhere is because they're for, poor people. Poor people keep pigs because they're trash compactors. And the reason that Azu Boko, you ever had Azu Boko? It's everything that we call a delicacy is actually made from pig, because that's what poor people do, is they do extravagant things to cheap food. And so that's why we have pig so ubiquitously. But the reason it's dirty is, like Josh said, it is just dirty. It doesn't have, it biomagnifies the filth as opposed to biomagnifying the nutrients, like as opposed to eating green grass or brightly growing vegetables. It's just eating poop. It'll eat its young. It'll eat literally anything. And so it doesn't have a diet that's nutriently based. It's not for food. The pig is not for food. Some things are not for food. They're for working. They're for whatever else. You're not going to die if you eat it, especially if you give prayer and Thanksgiving.
Do you eat bacon?
But because of this debate is why Jesus came down and said, it's all clean, dude. I'm going to die on the cross. My blood's going to solve you of everything. As long as you're thankful to me, because God gives you all good things before you eat it. This is why we say grace. It's not to whatever. It's to cleanse the food.
Right.
It literally cleanses the food. You know how you put the word hate? Cymetics? You guys are with me on that, right? You've all seen the rice in the water. The cymatics, where you put the word hate or the word love.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You're giving thanksgiving and love.
It's intent.
And you're firing that at your food, and it's physically cleaning it, altering it spiritually for it to unify with you. All food's clean with the power of prayer, the power of thanksgiving.
Which is probably why the Jewish have such a big thing about kosher foods, because it is blessed and purified, correct, Hack?
No.
Okay. That's just a tax to squeeze the goyim then.
No. They're not supposed to eat. Kosher means like following what we're talking about, the pre-Jesus rules for food, like the pig is dirty. And so kosher means, according to the Deuteronomy, when he described how to eat food and what not to eat, which is where we're getting the most of this information. And they just hold on to it. And the reason they hold on to it still, and about kosher food and everything else, is because it denies Jesus, because Jesus made all food clean with prayer and thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, it's the last thing. He's not concerned about food. We can basically eat what we want. That's not what it's about. People like the Adventists who hold to that, like, I think they're missing out on the message, but that's just me.
They are. And, the first thing, if you're praying and thanksgiving for your food, I would leave you alone. But if you don't, and you have food problems, like, you would then be looking at stuff like, is some of your food unclean? Is there poisons in there? Do you understand why this is a better meat than that? The nutrients. And you would change them scientifically. But if they're a spiritual person, man, they're eating everything fine. They're going to get all the nutrients out of the food they give Thanksgiving for.
Hey, Hack, to jump gears, since we got you on, what do you know about colloidal silver? Anything?
I've looked, in medicine there's a lot of stuff about chelating.
Dragging shit out of your body.
Yeah, like magnetically putting something in your body that your body can get rid of and it has a magnetic attraction towards the metal, and so it leaves with it. And
chelating is something that binds other things and holds.
Term silverware.
A chelating agent is something that I think, going back a few years, but it's something that binds and holds other things. So chemically, how would I describe it? The reason you can't have some antibiotics is with milk is because the calcium in it will chelate with the antibiotic, so you'll get calcium and two antibiotic molecules will bond to it. So I remember. This is digging a bit deep. So it kind of chelating means bond with something and lock it away from being active.
But generally, sort of chelating or whatever, however I pronounce it, is trying to get shit out of your body. Like,
well, yeah, they're going to die because they have heavy metal poisoning. It's like an emergency thing, which reminds me of silver. Like if you have a lot of silver in your body, you're going to die. You got to start slow. The thing that always comes to mind with me was silver. Okay, is silverware, like eating ware. Do you know why it's silver?
Yeah.
Antibacterial.
That's right. Do you know what else is antibacterial that we could use to eat with?
Not lead.
No. Tin. And aluminum. Aluminum is in your deodorant.
Yeah, aluminum's quite toxic, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's probably as toxic as silver and tin and any other heavy metal. Silver's an antibiotic, and if you talk to me like that gal, I don't know her name. It's Katie or Kathy. She has diverticulitis.
Karen, yeah.
Karen has a sterile gut. Now, if she had a